Chapter 5005. Yiqing Luo smiled lightly as her pink lips curled upwards. Sister. Jiang Ziyi popped his little head out from the side, his sparkling eyes stared straight at Yiqing Luo. You're really amazing, you're not afraid of the dark void hall at all. On the little fellow's face, there was no longer the panic and fear that he had shown in the Anshu hall. That pair of sparkling eyes made Yiqing Luo recall Feng Shi, that fellow. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly. If you're afraid, you wouldn't have come looking for me, isn't it? She paused for a moment, then reached out and rubbed the little fellow's head. You're great too. When you were in the Anshu hall, you weren't afraid at all. Actually, I'm very scared. Jiang Zi lowered his head in embarrassment. But when I think of Big Sister, Big Brother, and Big Sister Qing, no matter how scared I am, I will endure it. His dirty little face revealed a trace of envy. Big Brother and Big Sister are so awesome, and, he blinked his eyes and was filled with curiosity, Sister is also a member of the world group. Yiqing Luo asked, why would you ask that? Because, when Big Sister was talking about the world group to Big Sister Qing, she was very, very gentle, as though there was light in her eyes. He clenched his fists. I also wish to join the world group. The world group is merely a lower realm mercenary group. Do you want to join? Yiqing Luo looked at the little fellow's yearning gaze as she couldn't help but tease him. Jiang Zi's little face was serious. No matter what realm mercenary group the world group is from, the fact that the world group is able to appear in God Realm and fight against Insu Hall for the sake of God Realm's peace means that we are warriors of justice. Justice knows no boundaries. I wish to join the world group and learn from the brothers and sisters of the world group. In the future, I'll be eradicating evil for the people and helping the weak. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but laugh. I didn't expect you to be such a hot-blooded youngster, wanting to be a good person, in this world. The strong were respected. Power reigned supreme. There was actually such a pure-hearted child. To be a good person, what a good person. Yiqing Luo's curly long lashes drooped slightly as her brows revealed a slight smile. Yes, I want to be a good person like Big Sister. The little guy's eyes were sparkling. He smiled and said sincerely, I am a good person. Yiqing Luo rarely heard anyone use the word good person to evaluate her. She never thought of herself as a good person. However, whether she was good or bad depended on the person. For Jiang Zi, save Long Yunjian, he fought against the Anshu Hall. He was definitely a good person. But to those from the Anshu Hall, it was nothing. She was definitely a bad person. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but rub his head. Then, when the world group's brothers and sisters come over, tell them to see if they can enter the world group. Can I? Jiang Zi's eyes suddenly lit up like the stars in the sky. If it's you, it might really be possible. Yiqing Luo patted his delicate shoulder, but before this, you must cultivate well to make yourself stronger. In this way, you will be able to protect the people you want to protect. The people from the world group came very quickly. About 4 hours after Tong Ziqing sent out the signal, the large army had already arrived at the slums in a grandiose manner. Is Ziqing really in such a place? This place. Is Ziqing used to staying here? Is group leader together with Ziqing? Why did Ziqing suddenly send us a signal? Has she met with danger? Chapter 5006. Quickly search, see where Ziqing is. This lass, every time she gets into trouble, she's always shouldering it by herself. She doesn't know what use us brothers are. A large group of people were clamoring. Footsteps echoed throughout the entire slums. There's someone over here. Suddenly, someone cried out in shock. The few of them rushed over. Standing in front of one of the caves was a pretty young lady dressed in a pink dress. At this moment, she was smiling and waving at them. "We meet again, everyone." Qiao Jin and Yan Shaoyi were stunned when they saw who it was. "Madam Qiao. Why is it you?" "Yes, it's me." Yiqing Luo tried her best to maintain her persona as she smiled coquettishly. "I didn't expect us to meet again so soon." Qiao Jin's breathtakingly handsome face congealed slightly. His gaze swept the surroundings, and his tone was somewhat subtle. "Madam Qiao, why are you here?" "Because, I'm the one who asked you to come over." Yiqing Luo saw the vigilance in Qiao Jin's eyes as she purposely curled her lips innocently. Qiao Jin's expression congealed as expected. The few brothers behind him had already rushed forward. "What did you do to Ziqing?" Yiqing Luo's fair fingers propped her chin as her smile revealed a hint of laziness. "If I did anything to her, what do you intend to do?" Her slender eyes rose slightly. "Kill me?" "You?" Yan Shaoyi's face turned chilly as she held a blue gleaming crescent-shaped sickle in her hand as she was about to charge towards Yiqing Luo. "Shaoyi." Qiao Jin hurriedly held her waist as he pulled her back. "Don't act rashly." This young lady's ability couldn't be seen. But based on her arrogance, it was impossible for her to win. Her profound grade was definitely not low. Especially this young lady's husband. That young and tender-looking man who had no battle power at all. He was the real terrifying person. "Why are you stopping me for?" "I want to take revenge for Ziqing." Yan Shaoyi struggled. Qiao Jin's strength was huge as he held onto Yan Shaoyi tightly. That pair of profound eyes stared straight at Yiqing Luo. "Madam Qiao, between us, there doesn't seem to be any deep hatred, right?" "That's right." Yiqing Luo nodded smilingly. Then, Qiao Jin's tone deepened. "Where is Ziqing? Can you tell us?" "Ziqing," Yiqing Luo tilted her head. "Make a guess." "Mu Yu." The other brothers of the world group could no longer suppress their anger. "Madam Qiao, stop messing around." A cold voice came from within the cave. A woman dressed in coarse clothes that couldn't hide her elegance slowly walked out. When he saw the brothers of the world group, the woman's eyes reddened. "Ziqing." Yan Shaoyi and the rest were overjoyed as they pounced towards Tong Ziqing. One must know that ever since Long Yunzhan's witchcraft goo took effect and his identity as a member of the Nether Palace was exposed, they had never seen Long Yunzhan and Tong Ziqing. Tong Ziqing had been avoiding them because of Long Yunzhan. Now, they had finally met. Tong Ziqing and the bunch of sisters hugged each other as her gaze looked helplessly towards Yiqing Luo's direction. "Madam Qiao just loves to joke around, don't take it to heart." Yiqing Luo's crafty fox-like eyes curved. "If I don't say this, how can I let you know that towards you? How much they care about you, how much they value you." Chapter 5007. Tong Ziqing went into a slight blank as her cold face was dyed with a blush which she had never seen before. The young lady's pink lips curled slightly as she continued with a smile. "If there's any conflict or misunderstanding as a family, just talk it out face to face." What's the situation?" Qiao Jin looked at the two ladies smiling at each other as he was still in a daze. Tong Ziqing walked towards Qiao Jin as a warm smile surfaced on her cold face. "Because of my relationship with group leader, I've caused a lot of trouble for everyone, I'm sorry." "What are you apologizing for? This isn't your or group leader's fault." Yan Shaoyi took a big step forward as she hooked onto Tong Ziqing's arm. "This is all Secluded Palace's fault. Moreover, we're a family, so what's right or wrong?" "You silly lass, surely it's not because you feel guilty towards us so. That's why you've been avoiding us, right?" Tong Ziqing lowered her head in embarrassment, which was considered as tacit agreement. "Luckily you still have some brains and now you know to contact us automatically." Yan Xiaoyi used her little fist as she punched Tong Ziqing's shoulder. Say it, contacting us automatically. Is it because you miss us or you need our help? They were all brothers who had experienced life and death together. There was no need for any words. They could easily know each other's thoughts. Yan Xiaoyi and the others being able to reunite with Tong Ziqing was a joyous matter. But being in God Realm, which was such a dangerous place, the joy of reuniting had to be delayed temporarily. Missing you is one reason. Tong Ziqing's brows revealed some melancholy. Secondly, I'm the one who asked her to contact you. Yiqing Luo interrupted Tong Ziqing's words as she continued, I know who you're looking for in God Realm. The world group's expressions congealed. Pairs of vigilant eyes shot straight towards Yiqing Luo. The young lady's picturesque brows curved like a crescent moon as she didn't put their vigilance in her heart. She was still smiling lazily and leisurely. Madam Chow, what do you mean by this? Xiao Jin was the first to adjust his expression as his handsome brows rose slightly as he asked. Yiqing Luo smiled. Last night when I followed Ziqing to Dark Void Hall to save your group leader, I heard some news. The young lady of the Feng family seems to have exposed her whereabouts because of your pursuit. The power above the Anshu Hall, that dark nether palace, seems to have sent people to follow that Miss Feng. As soon as the girl finished speaking, the faces of the world group's members turned cold. Nonsense. Bei Ming Lu was the first to lose her composure as she stared at Yiqing Luo with her eyes wide open in disbelief. We've always been careful when we do things, how could we possibly be discovered by the secluded palace? This is the God Realm, not the lower realm. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly, her long and narrow eyes revealed a hint of coldness. Her pink lips curled up carelessly. No matter what, we have a common enemy. I also don't wish for you all to die at the hands of the Anshu Hall. Does Madame Chow have any evidence? Xiao Jin was still considered calm as he put on a cold expression while looking at Yiqing Luo, as though he was trying to find other traces from Yiqing Luo's face. Yiqing Luo's picturesque face didn't have the slightest fluctuation of emotions. I don't have any evidence. After all, I just heard it casually. If you don't believe me, then don't believe me. You. The world group and the others still wanted to say something. But they heard Tong Ziqing's cold and melodious voice, as it firmly rang, I believe you. Seventh young miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh young miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5008. Tong Ziqing's cold and beautiful eyes looked at Yiqing Luo without blinking. I believe in Madame Chow. If it wasn't for Madame Chow, I'm afraid last night, Commander and I would have died in the dark void hole. It was Madame Chow and her husband. They saved me and Captain together. The corners of Tong Ziqing's mouth faintly curled upwards, revealing a sincere smile. Moreover, Madame Chow didn't ask me to contact you just because I overheard those words in the Anshu Hole. Instead, it was for Commander. Leader. Xiao Jin looked at Tong Ziqing. How is the guild leader now? Not good. Tong Ziqing shook her head. He hasn't had his own consciousness for a very, very long time. Everyone fell silent when he saw Long Yunzhan before. Long Yunzhan was still conscious. Knew to warn them. He even knew to go easy on them. But now, it had been a long time since he had self-awareness. This also meant that the shaman goo in Long Yunzhan's body had already penetrated deep into his bones and blood. If this continued, I'm afraid their leader would never be able to wake up. Xiao Jin pursed his lips as he pondered for a moment, and his vision shot towards Yiqing Luo. Madame Chow, do you have any good ideas? Yan Xiaoyi and the rest still wanted to say something, But when he saw the young girl's lips curled up slightly and her emotions were unclear as she looked at Xiao Jin. For some reason, they stopped what they wanted to say. For some reason, somehow, he felt that this young girl exuded a familiar sense of trust. I don't have any good ideas. Yiqing Luo spread out her fair little hand. In her palm was a human-shaped puppet, but there is a solution. This is, the world group and the others crowded forward as they stared at the witchcraft doll. The carving of the puppet was extremely lifelike. Everyone could tell at a glance who this wooden puppet was. Commander. Yan Xiaoyi stared at the witchcraft puppet. What is this? Why? Commander. The thing in your commander's body is the heart-devouring parasite, right? Yiqing Luo put on an unfathomable tone. This kind of parasite is too sinister and the person who poisoned it is needed to cure it, so... You have to go to the witchcraft family and find the person who cast the goo and cure him. If we don't hurry up, I'm afraid, everyone understood Yiqing Luo's unfinished words. At that moment, their expressions changed slightly. It was not easy for them to reach the god world. To search and then leave, to go to the witchcraft family. But Yiqing Luo had yet to be found. They hadn't had the chance to help Yiqing Luo at all. Was he leaving just like that? He seemed to have seen through their thoughts. Yiqing Luo's eyes became much gentler and her voice also softened. This is a witchcraft puppet that can sense the heart-devouring parasite. Bring this witchcraft puppet to the family and find the person who planted the parasite. With this, it will be very easy to cure the parasite. She paused for a moment. However, whether or not the person who planted the goo will be able to remove the goo is up to you. She dares not to cure our captain's goo. Yan Xiaoyi's pretty face turned cold. Cure the goo, I'm going to make her fall. Do you really think that the world group is easy to bully? Baiming Lu patted her on the shoulder and looked towards Yiqing Luo. How did you know? Seeing this thing, how could I not know? Yiqing Luo waved the witchcraft puppet in her hands. Towards this parasite poison, I have some interest so I learned a little. I can help to cure the small parasite but... This kind of heart-devouring parasite, I can only go to the witchcraft family. Chapter 5009. Yiqing Luo stuffed the witchcraft puppet into Xiao Jin's hand. You must take good care of this puppet. This is the key to saving him. Xiao Jin gazed deeply at the witchcraft puppet in his palm, as he slowly tightened his grip. Yiqing Luo turned her head and walked into the cave. The others looked at each other in dismay. Following that, they followed in. The cave wasn't big to begin with. It was instantly filled with people, as it seemed a little crowded. Jiang Zi was so frightened that he shrank behind Dmo Xian. The man sat on a stone bench by the side. Beside him was a table which was so broken that it seemed as though it would fall apart with a light bump. A bamboo-colored long robe, a seemingly innocent and tender man. Just sitting there. It caused this poor cave to look a little more noble. As though the stone bench he was sitting on was made out of the finest white jade. When the crowd saw Dmo Xian, that face was clearly very young and pure. That pair of gem-like eyes, pure and clean. But the crowd, inexplicably, felt deep veneration for him. The crowd quietened down. Until they saw Long Yunzhan, who was lying in the straw with a pale face and a pained expression. They had forgotten about the pressure in the air. Yan Xiaoyi and the rest rushed to the side of the straw as they squatted down, looking at Long Yunzhan. What happened to group leader? Yesterday when we were saving him at Dark Void Hole. Dark Void Hole's elder used the witchcraft puppet to deplete group leader's profound energy. Tong Ziqing explained, as her long eyelashes drooped slightly. If we don't get rid of the goo quickly, I'm worried group leader won't be able to make it. Let's head to the lower realm immediately. Yan Xiaoyi clenched her fists tightly, as her pretty face revealed a chilly intent. Don't be anxious. Yiqing Luo walked to Dmo Xian's side, holding his hand as she sat beside him. The young girl held the man's slender, jade-like hand as she raised her head to look at Xiao Jin. Don't forget what I said. Right now, all of you have already been targeted by the people from the Dark Void Hole. Or perhaps, it's that power above the Dark Void Hole, the Dark Void Palace, that has targeted you. If you leave with your captain just like that, the people from the Palace of Darkness might take back the goo puppet and the captain before you even reach the lower worlds. The young lady's words made the world group and the others turn silent. After a while, Xiao Jin asked, "What method does Lady Qiao have?" "I suggest, Yun has a jade pendant that can absorb people into a warm jade to nourish them, but it won't last long, at most half a month. I can lend you this jade pendant. You can take it with you and secretly head to the witchcraft family." Everyone's eyes lit up when they heard that. If there really was such a warm jade, it would naturally be the best. Madame Chao's words were not without reason. The people from the Palace of Darkness were definitely watching them from the dark. Just like that, they carried Long Yunzhan out of the God world. He would definitely be captured by the Palace of Darkness. With this jade pendant, it would be much more convenient. Xiao Jin raised his eyebrows. "What is your request?" "I'm hiring you to protect my safety." Yiqing Luo's narrow eyes curved. "I'm now on the Dark Void Hall's wanted list, so it's more dangerous if you're here to protect me, then I don't need to be afraid." When Xiao Jin heard this request, he was slightly stunned. He looked past Yiqing Luo, as he looked towards Dmo Xian. This man's ability was unfathomable. With him around, did he need the world group's protection? Yiqing Luo only smiled, as she had no intention to reply. Chapter 50:10. In any case, we have the jade pendant. Some of you, bring your captain to the witchcraft family to look for him. And the other part is to follow me and my husband responsible for our safety, that's all. Yiqing Luo paused for a moment, as though she was pondering over something. "Oh right, you only need to follow me to the entrance of the Devil region and you'll have completed your mission." Everyone in the world group turned silent. To be honest, they had just arrived in the God world. Before he met Yiqing Luo, he didn't want to leave like this. However, the matter regarding the regiment commander couldn't wait much longer. Under the surveillance of the Abyss Palace. Separate them. Wasn't that even more dangerous? If the Palace of Darkness suddenly attacked, Yiqing Luo didn't urge them to give an answer, "My husband and I. After we have settled the matter at Dark Void Hall tomorrow, we will set off. By then you can give me an answer." In the slums. Because of the world group's arrival, it was much livelier. Not knowing if it was because the Jiang family's elder was injured, or because they were afraid of Dmo Xian's prestige. It was because Yiqing Luo had made Jiang Ziyi to poison her. In short, the people from the Dark Void Hall did not come to the slums to cause trouble. In order to maintain her persona, Yiqing Luo did not fall off the horse. He tried his best to avoid being alone with them. He directly pulled Dmo Xian along and randomly searched for other slum dwellers' cave dwellings, leaving the time for the few of them to interact with each other. The entire slum had been massacred by the Anshu hole. There were a lot of empty spaces. How does it feel to see your own brother in front of you, but not be able to recognize him? The man's low and playful voice rang out from behind her. Before Yiqing Luo could turn back, she was already locked into the man's arms. Yiqing Luo blinked her eyes, probably like, "I'm in disguise right in front of you, but I can't recognize you." "I don't like this analogy." The man raised his eyebrows slightly. "Can they compare to me?" That matter-of-fact tone made Yiqing Luo couldn't help but laugh. "You're jealous of them." The man grabbed her shoulders and turned her around. He held her chin with his slender fingers. "But, You're wrong about one thing. No matter what you become, I will recognize you at first sight. The man's clear and hoarse voice was like smoke, drifting into the girl's heart. It instantly struck the soft spot in her heart. Yiqing Luo's brows curved as her hands hooked onto his neck. Dmo Xian embraced her and placed her on the stone bench. Then, he lowered his head and buried it on her shoulder. His tone was a little dissatisfied. It's not easy for me to be alone with you, but you're going to bring a bunch of people and disturb our peace. His tone was filled with resentment and grievance. It reminded Yiqing Luo of the feeling of a large loyal dog. She stretched out her little hand and stroked the man's head. She laughed softly and said, I also want to be alone with you. But if we don't do this, they won't be able to leave the god realm. She sighed softly and wrapped her arms around the man's neck. The people from the Palace of Darkness have their eyes on them. I saved them yesterday, and at this time, most of their troops are running down to the lower realm. The Palace of Darkness will definitely guess the reason, and if we let a portion of them descend to the lower realms and leave a portion of them in the immortal realm, I'm afraid they'll go look for Miss Feng. By then, the thing that we're worried about will still happen. The young lady raised her head and used her head to rub against him. Only by letting them follow me, the person who is being watched closely by the Palace of Darkness, will they be safe. Chapter 50:11. But on the other hand, you won't be safe. Dmo Xian's tone was slightly sunken. That's right. They might be safe. But because of the world group, the majority of the troops were on her side. It would only make the secluded palace take notice of her after she had disguised herself. Both of their goals. To search for the God Emperor's tomb based on the profound flame heaven's pivot map. The secluded palace's people noticed them. Why would they need to disguise themselves? Their aim of searching for the God Emperor's tomb would also be obstructed. Even if they're not around. After this mess from Dark Void Hall, I'm afraid the secluded palace will not let me off easily. Yiqing Luo said, based on the secluded palace's suspicious character, perhaps if I bring them along, it might make their imagination run wild, making blind guesses, and it's easy to guess wrongly. The young lady's pink lips curled upwards as her little hand rubbed the man's head fiercely. She rubbed the man's black hair till it was messy before she stopped. Moreover, you're here, the young lady's tender voice had a tinge of coquettishness in it. Dmo Xian's eyes sunk slightly as his slender jade-like hand poked the young lady's face. This trick again. Who taught you to act coquettishly? Seeing you, I figured it out on my own. Yiqing Luo's slender eyes curved as she raised her fair little hand and held the man's hand which was poking her face. My dear husband, don't you like me to act coquettishly with you? I like it, but... The man's eyes deepened. Aren't I being eaten up by you? Don't tell me that husband isn't willing to be eaten up by me. Yiqing Luo's brows rose as her tone raised. My honor. The man's slender and powerful arms suddenly tightened as he pressed her into his embrace. Outside the cave, the figure who was about to enter the cave heard the conversation inside. He silently retracted his leg as he turned around to leave. He had just taken 10 oversteps. A person walked towards her. Xiao Yi, what's the matter? Have you found Madame Qiao? Yan Xiao Yi's expression was a little complicated. When Qiao Jin saw that, he pulled her into his embrace as he asked warmly, why do you look so terrible? Ah, Jin. Yan Xiao Yi buried her head in his chest and said in a clear voice, let's listen to Mu Yu and split into 2 groups. What did she say to you? Qiao Jin gently patted her shoulder. Yan Xiao Yi shook her head and then nodded. What she said should be true. Secluded Palace's people are currently searching for Qing Luo's whereabouts, and if we really went to look for Qing Luo, it would easily expose what Qing Luo wanted to do. But, if we follow Mu Yu, it seems like we will implicate Mu Yu as well. She lowered her head and wrapped her arms tightly around Xiao Jin's waist. In a concise and comprehensive manner, he recounted the conversation between Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian which he had eavesdropped on earlier. Perhaps it was because Yan Xiaoyi was too familiar with Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian. So much so that her approach. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian didn't discover anything. That Madame Chao. Just why would she help us? Xiao Jin listened to Yan Xiaoyi's words and was somewhat puzzled. Yan Xiaoyi shook her head. But I still feel that she is very familiar. Now that things have come to this, we can only do according to what she said. Xiao Jin sighed softly as he gently pulled apart the distance between the both of them. Xiaoyi, I intend to go look for Guiyu teacher first. You. Yan Xiaoyi suddenly raised her head. You want to escort group leader to the lower realm? Right. Xiao Jin took out the witchcraft puppet as he stared deeply at the puppet and said, Guiyu teacher and I will bring some people back first. You bring another group of people and stay by Madame Chao's side, and at the same time find out about Qing Luo's news. Chapter 50-12. Yan Xiaoyi wanted to say something but looking at Xiao Jin's solemn and serious expression, she eventually pursed her lips tightly. Her little hands hugged Xiao Jin's waist tightly. You must be careful. Escorting group leader to the lower realm. They would definitely have to go head-to-head with Gloomy Palace. If Gloomy Palace used any sinister tricks, they would definitely be hurt. Even with Guiyu Fu teacher accompanying them, she was still very worried. You're the one who needs to be careful. Xiao Jin sighed softly as he kept the puppet and hugged the woman's shoulder tightly. Madame Chao's side is not peaceful at all. There's still dark void hole eyeing her covetously. He lowered his head slightly as his voice was very low, using a voice that only the two of them could hear as he spoke with difficulty. If you really meet with life-threatening danger, you must. Ah, Jin. Yan Xiaoyi called out, interrupting Xiao Jin's unfinished words. The woman's delicate face lifted up from his arms as her brows sunk. Impossible. The world group's people are definitely not people who are afraid of death. Since we've made a deal with Sunset Rain, then we should abide by our mutual cooperation. This is the world group's first mission in God Realm. No matter what, I will not abandon Sunset Rain and escape on my own. The woman's voice was sonorous and powerful, unwavering. Xiao Jin's unfinished words were stuck in his throat. His extraordinary good-looking face had a complicated expression. After meeting the woman's unwavering gaze for a moment, as though admitting defeat, he heaved a long sigh. He lowered his head as his forehead was facing Yan Xiaoyi's forehead. It's me. No, I shouldn't let the world group carry a bad reputation because of my personal feelings. I know, you're worried about me. Yan Xiaoyi's cherry lips curled upwards as her little hand patted his back lightly. I will take good care of myself. After all, I promised you that I will accompany you back to Huangfu family. The next day, the teams were quickly divided. Xiao Jin brought Long Yunzhan who had already entered the warm jade to recuperate, as well as 7 members of the world group, to search for Guiyu Fu teacher before heading towards the lower realm's aristocratic family. On Yan Xiaoyi's side, she brought Bei Ming Lulu, Ni Ruo Pan, Mo Yuing and Xiao Yinyan to escort Morning Clouds and Sunset Rain couple towards the Devil region. After Yiqing Luo's reminder, Xiao Jin's group of 8 found a lot of old clothes in the slums and changed into them. Smear some messy dirt on your face. Oh, dirt. After all, the world group's brothers were too good-looking. When this group of people walked out, it was really too eye-catching. He had to make himself look a little more pathetic. At the very least, it wouldn't attract the attention of people with ulterior motives. Whereas for Yiqing Luo's side, they continued to maintain their grandeur. As for Jiangzi, it was brought along by Yiqing Luo. After all, this child still had his family, and everyone in the slums. There would be a bloodbath. The main reason was because they wanted to save Long Yunjian. As Long Yunjian's brother and half a master, Yiqing Luo had the obligation to protect Jiang Ziyi's safety. After the teams were divided, the two teams parted ways. After leaving the slums, Yiqing Luo didn't leave in time. Instead, he swaggered into the nearby big city. Aren't you still on the Anshu Hall's kill list? If we enter the city like this, Anshu Hall. Yan Xiaoyi's expression was one of worry. Before he could finish his sentence, he heard the surrounding commoners discussing spiritedly, "Have you heard about the Anshu Hall's matter?" "What matter?" "It's almost spread throughout the entire god realm and you actually don't know about it." "Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love." "Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love." Chapter 50:13. I heard that the Jiang family's branch force in our city is the headquarters of the Dark Void Hall. Someone couldn't help but sigh. As expected of the Jiang family's power, they directly gave the branch to them as their headquarters. That's not the point. The informant lowered his voice and continued to speak mysteriously. "Let me tell you, I don't know who it was, but someone found out about the Dark Void Hall's headquarters and poisoned it. Now, at least half of the people in the Dark Void Hall's headquarters have been poisoned. Ha ha ha, only the heavens will punish the wicked. They've done all kinds of evil, and now they're finally getting their retribution." "Shoo, don't speak so loudly. If the remaining people of the Dark Void Hall hear it, it'll be a mess again." Everyone immediately sighed. With their strength, it wasn't that they couldn't fight with the Dark Void Hall. It was just that the Dark Void Hall was despicable and shameless, and their bandit-like behavior made them too lazy to bother with villains. And entangled with villains. In the end, they were the unlucky ones. Couldn't they just hide from them? It was better to keep the Dark Void Hall open. However, even if everyone suppressed their excitement, there were also many people who were talking about this matter everywhere. It was probably the Jiang family's branch force, early in the morning, heard heart-wrenching screams. Such screams. When outsiders saw that it was the Jiang family's branch force, they couldn't care too much. This might be some special hobby of these nobles. Then, it was afternoon. He recruited a large number of doctors to go there. Then, the people of the Dark Void Hall rushed to all parts of the city, capturing doctors everywhere. As long as they knew a little bit of medical knowledge, they were captured and brought to the Jiang family's branch. This matter was very big. At that moment, everyone understood what was going on. So this Jiang family's branch was the headquarters of the Dark Void Hall. Early this morning, there were many practitioners of the Dark Void Hall, one by one, who inexplicably fell to the ground during their morning exercises. And their whole body twitched and hurt badly. One by one, they screamed endlessly. After noon, there were even more people who had fallen. Even the two elders, Lu Sanzong and LVNI, didn't escape. Basically, 2/3 of Dark Void Hall's profound practitioners had fallen to the ground. And among the dozens of doctors who were captured and brought to the aristocratic branch of the Jiang clan, after feeling his pulse, none of them could find out what exactly was wrong with him. When the healers saw the people of Anshu Hall lying on the ground in pain, they felt very satisfied. However, in the face of such a difficult and complicated disease, the fact that they couldn't figure out the cause of the illness also piqued their interest. One by one, they began to investigate. A doctor asked when this situation started. With such a deduction, the healers understood. He was poisoned. It was only after breakfast or lunch that everyone began to collapse to the ground in agony. Obviously, there was a problem with the food. Lu Sanzong was convulsing in pain. When he heard the doctor's speculations, he gritted his teeth and ordered them to kill everyone in the kitchen. The Jiang clan's noble branch hall. No, it should be called the Dark Void Hall's headquarters now, was instantly dyed in blood. But after this, a doctor discovered that there was a problem with the well next to the kitchen. They scooped up the water, and a group of doctors surrounded him to examine him. Then, as expected, he discovered the well water contained an unknown drug. But it was the same as those who collapsed to the ground. What was the drug in the well water that couldn't be found at all? Finding out the source could prevent more people from being poisoned. Chapter 50:14. But this poison, what medicinal herb was it made from and how to detoxify it? A group of doctors were still in the midst of research. After that, not knowing how this news spread out from Dark Void Hall's headquarters. After all, this was a piece of news that everyone was happy about. This spread from 1 to 10, 10 to 100. Even the neighboring city had heard of this matter. All of them didn't show it on their faces. But secretly, they were almost clapping their hands in joy, listening to those people's discussions. The expressions on Yan Xiaoyi and the others were all complicated. All the worried words earlier were stuck in their throats. So, she had long known that such a thing had happened at Dark Void Hall. That was why she dared to appear in the city so brazenly. Because the current Dark Void Hall, they couldn't even take care of themselves. How could they care about the morning clouds and evening rain couple on the assassination order? Jiang Ziyi, who had been obediently following beside the team, suddenly jumped towards Yiqing Luo. Until he stopped beside Yiqing Luo, he then raised his little head, his eyes sparkling as he looked at Yiqing Luo. Sister Yu, is it? Is it? Although Jiang Ziyi was young, but he also knew that he shouldn't say the latter words. After all, there were people around him. If anyone heard it, it would easily cause trouble. Although Jiang Ziyi's words were not completed, but Yiqing Luo still understood the question he wanted to ask. The young lady's charming eyes slightly curved, slightly bent down, stretched out her hand and caressed Jiang Ziyi's little head, nodding, "N." The little fellow's eyes became brighter and brighter. His little body was so agitated that it kept trembling. Then they. It's me. It's me. The poison which was poured into the well water was personally poured by him. Those poisoned Dark Void Hall cultivators were personally poisoned by him. Yiqing Luo nodded again, slightly suppressing her voice as she asked with a light smile, "Ziyi, are you afraid now? Those people, in another 1 or 2 days, will all die one by one." Jiang Ziyi's age wasn't old. His hands were already stained with blood so quickly. If he wasn't willing, Yiqing Luo wouldn't force him. So, the poison she chose was a slow poison. After suffering for 1 or 2 days, they would slowly breathe their last. When the little fellow heard this, the smile on his face and the light in his eyes flickered and wavered. Yiqing Luo didn't have much emotions, her lips curled up slightly as she fished out a small medicine bottle from her ring. "This is the antidote, if..." "Pa!" The little guy suddenly reached out and took the medicine bottle. Then, he fell heavily to the ground. The transparent liquid stained the ground. After doing this, Jiang Zi gasped for air. Then, she stubbornly raised her little head, her eyes shining with determination. "No. I don't want the antidote." The little fellow's eyes were filled with anger. Those people deserved it. They deserved to die. Now that they are dead, I will avenge my parents and everyone in the slums. I will not be soft-hearted. This is what they deserve. The child gritted his teeth and spat out the words one by one. It was a tiny figure. But between his brows, there was already the demeanor of a grown-up man. Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled up slightly, as she satisfyingly pressed his head. You did the right thing, they're dead and you've saved even more people. She wanted to bring Jiang Ziyi along by her side. She wanted to teach Jiang Ziyi how to grow. After experiencing the destruction of his family, this was what he needed to learn to be strong. And in this kind of god realm where the strong were revered, most of the Nether Palace's forces had already infiltrated. He must understand. Chapter 50-15. Protect yourself. He understood how to control his fate in his own hands. Jiang Ziyi clenched his fists tightly. His eyes were slightly red as he looked at Yiqing Luo without blinking and spoke seriously. Sister Yu, thank you. The little boy's crisp voice was filled with sincerity. Yiqing Luo curled her lips sweetly as she rubbed his little head and straightened her body. She had returned to the side of the man who would not even let a child's jealousy go. Unknowingly, he was soothing a certain big vinegar jar. A conversation between an adult and a child. This allowed Yan Xiaoyi and the others to understand. The incident at the headquarters of the Anshu Hall was indeed related to Lady Sunset Rain. No wonder she had to wait until today to take action. He even had to make a trip to the city. Just to confirm it. Did the people from the Anshu Hall fall for it? This girl called Sunset Rain, he really couldn't be underestimated. Yan Xiaoyi secretly made up her mind. They had to complete this mission seriously and escort the couple safely to the infernal domain. He absolutely could not become enemies with these two people. If Yiqing Luo knew what Yan Xiaoyi was thinking right now. I guess I'll have to sigh at my amazing acting skills again. Even the World Group's brothers who understood her so well were completely unable to detect her true identity. In that case, Yiqing Luo was even more relieved. The dark secluded palace definitely wouldn't be able to detect her identity in a short period of time. The group was extremely conspicuous on the street. In addition, Jiang Zi's smashing of the bottle was a little noisy. Soon, it attracted the attention of many people. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian had no intention to conceal it. He generously allowed everyone to look at him. Everyone saw it with a glance. Wasn't this the person on the Anshu Hall's kill order? They actually dared to appear directly in the city. Weren't they afraid that someone from the Anshu Hall would show up and capture them? Even now, the Anshu Hall had poisoned a large number of people. But at least a portion of them, as well as the members of the Anshu Hall scattered throughout the God realm, were still safe and sound. Looking at how calm and composed they were, Yizichen couldn't help but sigh. Everyone couldn't help but speculate. Such a big thing had happened in the Anshu Hall. Could it be the doing of the two people on the bounty order? Everyone was thinking. Suddenly, someone in the crowd shouted, "Not good, the people from Anshu Hall are here. Look at the team in front. The people from Anshu Hall are coming over aggressively. I'm afraid they're here to capture you. Let's get out of the city from here." Amidst the hubbub of discussions, everyone made way for Yiqing Luo and the rest to leave. But Yiqing Luo stood at the same spot without any intention to move. She curled her pink lips slightly and nodded at those people who were expressing their goodwill to show her gratitude. Then, he quietly waited where he was. "Muyu, aren't we leaving?" Yan Xiaoyi and the other four had already surrounded Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian in the middle, in a defensive stance. Yiqing Luo tilted her head and smiled at her. "Don't panic, I'm just afraid that they won't come." What was he planning? Yan Xiaoyi and the rest did not understand. But as a mercenary group that was hired, all they had to do was to protect their employer. Just as he was speaking, in front of him, there were already 20 to 30 people rushing over aggressively. The leader was a fiendish-looking man. When he saw Yi Qing Luo, he drew out a long blade and pointed it at her. It's you. It's you, right? The moment the people from Onshu Hall appeared, the surrounding people had already avoided them. That long blade shone with a cold flowing light under the sunlight. Yi Qing Luo's expression didn't change as she faintly raised her brows, squinting at that person. Chapter 50:16. Aren't you from the Dark Void Hole? Why aren't you at the headquarters waiting for your master? Why are you behaving atrociously in front of me? The young lady's tone was calm, without a hint of panic. The leader's face was sinister as he stared at Yi Qing Luo fiercely. Last night only you sneaked into the Dark Void Hall headquarters. The poison in the well was planted by you. Yi Qing Luo crossed her arms as she lazily leaned into Dmo Xian's arms. What evidence do you have to prove that it's me? What evidence do you need? It's obviously you. The leader couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with Yi Qing Luo as he raised his long sword and slashed towards her. Around them, those 20 to 30 Dark Void Hall cultivators had already surrounded their team tightly in the middle. Basically, there was nowhere to escape. The leader made his move. The surrounding God Realm cultivators avoided him, in case they got involved in this troublesome matter. Protect Mu Yu. A black light flashed in Yan Xiaoyi's hand as her slender fingers gripped the black scythe blade tightly as she stood in front of Yi Qing Luo. The others swiftly stood in front of Yi Qing Luo and Dmo Xian. The black scythe blade collided with the long sword. The leader took 2 steps back from the impact. The black profound wave vibrated in the air. Ka-cha, that sharp long saber was actually broken into 2 pieces. The leader's hideous face twisted as his eyes widened with hatred. As though he couldn't believe it. This young lady in front of him actually broke his weapon in one strike. Yi Qing Luo looked at the broken long sword on the ground as her pink lips rose slightly as she smiled lazily. You're so violent, it's more like guilty. The young lady smiled faintly as her voice was light. If you say it's me, then I'll say it's you who wanted to get the position of Dark Void Hall's leader, so you deliberately poisoned the Dark Void Hall headquarters in an attempt to take the opportunity to rise up. You're talking nonsense. The leader's expression changed as he screamed in a sharp voice. If this kind of words were to be heard by someone with ulterior motives, no matter if he really had China in mind, he probably wouldn't be given an important position in the headquarters. Furthermore, if the leader also doubted his loyalty, he would probably kill it to prevent future troubles. This girl was too ruthless. Facing the leader of the group, he had a furious expression and a murderous gaze. Yi Qing Luo didn't have the slightest fluctuation of emotions. She raised her pink lips and smiled calmly. It's just a few words. Who doesn't know how to say the truth? You. The leader was so angry that his entire body was trembling. His eyes glanced at the dozens of profound practitioners beside him. Go. Bring her back to the headquarters of the Onshu Hall and torture her until she hands over the antidote. After the time it took for a stick of incense to burn, the young husband and wife stood there calmly and elegantly, leaning against each other. The 5 youths in front of him panted lightly, and their expressions were stern as they glared at the people in front of them. The only one left standing was the leader. Around them, lying on the ground, were profound practitioners dressed in the uniform of the Onshu Hall. Someone fainted. Someone was howling in pain. The leader was panting heavily as he stared incredulously at the group of young boys and girls in front of him as he retreated step by step. The 20 to 30 people he brought were helpless against this group of young people. Chapter 50:17. Those people he brought along were all lying on the ground. Now, he was the only one left. That was even more of a fate to fall. the leader almost gave up on resisting. The black-haired girl casually and elegantly walked out from behind the armed young men and women who were extremely powerful. That delicate and picturesque face, although not as breathtaking as that of a fairy. However, it had a unique charm. She looked down at him from above, her pink lips curled into a light smile. Actually, it's not impossible for me to go to the Dark Void Hall headquarters to save your master. The young lady's voice was as clear as an orchid. The leader wondered if he had heard wrongly. She wasn't going to kill him. And she even agreed to go to the Dark Void Hall headquarters to save him. Yiqing Luo smiled as she raised her slender brows. I am a kind-hearted doctor. Whenever I meet such a difficult-to-treat illness, I love to research it. Your master's poison, I can give it a try. Sister Yu. Jiang Ziyi didn't understand the meaning of Yiqing Luo's words as he called out to her softly. His eyes were filled with worry and unwillingness. Hadn't he already smashed the antidote given by Sister Yu? Why did Sister Yu want to save the people from the Dark Void Hole? Those people were all bad people. When Yiqing Luo looked at Jiang Ziyi, the smile on her brows became even more genuine and warm. She didn't say anything, only arched her eyes at Jiang Ziyi and retracted her gaze. This smile made Jiang Ziyi swallow back all the words he wanted to say. He pursed his little lips, his little hands clenched tightly into fists. He wanted to believe in Sister Yu. Sister Yu must have a reason for doing this. You, what motive do you have? The leader didn't think that this young lady would be so kind, purely wanting to research on the so-called poison. Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled, still smiling with a delicate and innocent look. The motive is that I want to detoxify your master alone. The leader's expression changed. Impossible. Oh. Yiqing Luo didn't have any intention to force him as she casually waved her hand. Forget about that one, anyway the one who dies won't be me. Then, she took the man's arm and turned around. Let's go. Not even 4 hours had passed. Yiqing Luo and the rest were respectfully invited into the Dark Void Hall headquarters. At this time, in the Onshu Hall headquarters, the ground was littered with Onshu Hall's profound practitioners, howling in pain. The urine stained the ground red. Yiqing Luo walked straight ahead expressionlessly, as though she didn't care much about the tragic state of the Dark Void Hole. It was Yan Xiaoyi and the rest who couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva when they saw the surrounding scenery. Was this all the work of their employer? This was just too cruel. Why would such a cruel employer need their protection? Jiangzi, on the other hand, carefully followed Baiming Lulu's side. His small hand tightly grasped the hem of Baiming Lulu's clothes. He looked at the ground full of people wailing in pain and then at the water. The little people were afraid, but also felt that they deserved it. That was all. The group entered Lu Sanzong's room. When the room door was pushed open with a creak, Lu Sanzong's weak roar was heard from inside the room. Get out. A bunch of quacks, useless trash, kill them. Kill them all. First Master is still so energetic, looks like he doesn't need my help. Chapter 50-18. In the messy room, a clear and melodious voice was heard. It easily suppressed Lu Sanzong's roar. When he heard that familiar voice, he was stunned. Lu Sanzong, who was lying on the sick bed, suddenly stiffened as he struggled to climb up and turned his head over. The young lady who was still arrogant last night, swaggering in front of him and finally left safely. At this moment, she was smiling as she walked towards him. Her peach-red long dress fluttered in the wind, which made the young lady look even more charming. She looked pure and innocent. You. How could it be you? What are you doing here again? Lu Sanzong's eyes widened as he stared deadly at Yiqing Luo. His voice was hoarse from exhaustion. Yiqing Luo walked in. A bunch of people followed behind her. Lu Sanzong saw the disheveled leader and seemed to have understood. It's you. Yan Jun, you bastard. You betrayed me. That person called Yan Jun was the leader who intercepted Yiqing Luo earlier. When he heard Lu Sanzong's accusation, he immediately put on a bitter face. Eldest master, you've wronged me. I'm trying to save you. Lu Sanzong clenched his fists tightly as he looked at Yan Jun, who was blindly following her, not daring to get too close to Yiqing Luo and the rest. He suddenly raised his voice and shouted, Men. I advise eldest master, don't be too agitated. The more agitated you are, the faster the poison will spread and you'll die even faster. The young lady's voice was soft and her tone was also gentle. However, the words that came out of his mouth caused everyone to tremble in fear. It's indeed you, slut. You're the one who poisoned me. When Lu Sanzong heard that, the anger on his face grew even more as his hand gripped the blanket tightly, almost pinching the silk blanket into shreds. Yiqing Luo blinked her eyes innocently. No, I didn't, I'm not, don't talk rubbish. You have no evidence. 3 consecutive denials plus a righteous rebuttal. If it's not you, who else can it be? Lu Sanzong didn't believe it. Yiqing Luo spread out her hands. Then you'll have to ask the person who poisoned me. Lu Sanzong. This young lady probably felt that he didn't die early enough. He took a deep breath and was about to scold Yan Jun to chase him out. The young girl walked past the mess on the ground and gracefully arrived in front of him. Flowers bloomed with every step she took. Although, I wasn't the one who poisoned him. She smiled and said, but I can help you detoxify it. His last sentence made Lu Sanzong swallow the words he was about to spit out. He gritted his teeth for a long time. In the end, he said, why should I believe you? Just because. Yiqing Luo smiled confidently. You have no choice. Lu Sanzong, indeed, he had no choice. Doctors from various places had been captured through various means. There was no lack of famous doctors and pharmacists among them. However, no one was able to find out what was wrong with them, let alone cure them of the poison. In Lu Sanzong's heart, he was certain that the person who poisoned him was this girl named Mu Yu. In other words, indeed, only this girl had the antidote. Although Lu Sanzong's brain wasn't flexible, but he wasn't a fool. What motive do you have? Yiqing Luo's lips curled. I have a small problem and would like to consult First Master. Lu Sanzong frowned. His malevolent pale face was horribly distorted. I don't know anything. You will know. Yiqing Luo smiled confidently. From the color of your lips, you probably won't last past today. Chapter 50-19. Young lady, this kind of low-end psychological attack, can you scare me? Lu Sanzong sneered. Yiqing Luo tilted her head, her delicate brows were like a painting as she gave a casual smile. Oh, then eldest master can choose not to believe me, in this case. I'll make a move first. That look, that tone, there was totally no intention to continue threatening or enticing him. The more it was like this, Lu Sanzong panicked even more. He clenched his fists tightly, suppressing the intense pain in his body as he squeezed out a sentence from the slits of his teeth. What do you want to know? Yiqing Luo smiled slightly. Yiqing Luo asked Yan Xiaoyi and the rest to guard the door, to prevent the others from Dark Void Hall from approaching. After that, she pulled Dmo Xian and sat beside Lu Sanzong's sickbed. She looked at Lu Sanzong with a smile. When did you guys get involved with the Jiang family's aristocrats? Lu Sanzong's eyes congealed slightly, and very quickly his entire face twisted into a ball in pain. Help me detoxify first, then I'll answer your question. Yiqing Luo spread out her hands. If I help you detoxify, but you don't answer my question, who am I going to reason with? Then what if I answer your question, but you have no way to detoxify me. Lu Sanzong's mind rarely turned so fast as he retorted. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. This is not a problem I need to consider. Now the sovereignty was in her hands. She had the final say. She laughed lightly. If you don't trust me, then we both take a step back. Lu Sanzong hurriedly interrupted Yiqing Luo's words. You have to at least do something to make me believe that you can help me detoxify. After all that, Lu Sanzong only wanted to find out the news of the antidote from Yiqing Luo's hands. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes twitched slightly. Her sleeves suddenly moved. Her fair as jade finger flicked under Lu Sanzong's eyelids. Lu Sanzong had not seen clearly what it was. His mouth felt cold. Immediately, that cold and gloomy feeling spread throughout his body. Lu Sanzong opened his mouth and used his hand to dig. What did you feed me? Didn't you say that I should at least make you believe me? The young girl innocently blinked her pure and charming eyes and continued with a smile. Don't worry, whatever I feed you is naturally good stuff. Lu Sanzong still wanted to say something. However, the cold feeling in his body almost froze his internal organs. It also solidified the agitated pain in his body. After a long while, only then did Lu Sanzong reluctantly get used to the eerie cold air that lingered wantonly in his body. He panted heavily as he stared at Yiqing Luo viciously. What is this? He glared at them. But it was only for a moment. Just as he was about to be stabbed in the face by a sharp, ice-like blade, Lu Sanzong's vision shot towards Yiqing Luo's side. That tender-looking young man who looked easy to bully. His entire body shuddered. It was this young man. Last night, he only relied on his own strength. He easily and effortlessly tortured the two powerful elders from the Jiang clan to the ground, leaving them powerless to resist. This young man, it was too terrifying. Compared to the Jiang clan side, it was even more terrifying. Lu Sanzong was so frightened that he retracted his head. This young man was warning him. Not allowed to humiliate a young lady. Now, does it not hurt anymore? Yiqing Luo smiled as she asked Lu Sanzong. Her body fell into the man's arms, enjoying his escort very much. Lu Sanzong didn't say a word. Chapter 50-20. Now, he really didn't feel any pain. However, this sinister chill in his body felt as if he was possessed by a ghost. It didn't feel good either. Don't ask for too much. Yiqing Luo ignored Lu Sanzong's infuriated face as she gave a casual smile. After all, I want you to answer my question. Asking that cousin of yours, it's not impossible. She tilted her head and smiled innocently. I'm sure your cousin knows how to choose better than you. Are you threatening me? Lu Sanzong bared his teeth in anger. Yiqing Luo nodded smilingly. That's right, so, what does First Master think about it? Lu Sanzong bit his lips tightly as he stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo. His heart was in turmoil. She had taken so many doctors' prescriptions and all sorts of medicine. He didn't react at all. His body was still twitching, and the pain was indescribable. But, the girl in front of him made a move. Although the coldness in his body was uncomfortable. However, the pain and spasms had indeed stopped. It was enough to show that this young girl might really be able to cure this strange poison. Eldest Master, my patience is limited. Yiqing Luo smiled as she spoke. Lu Sanzong no longer hesitated. He gripped the blanket under him tightly and said through gritted teeth, Anshu Hall. It wasn't called Anshu Hall before. Most of the former members of the Anshu Hall were fierce and bloodthirsty tyrants of various places. Killing, plundering, committing all sorts of crimes. Many of them were vicious villains on the Divine Emperor Palace's wanted list. And just 3 months ago, the nobles of the Jiang family came to him. In the name of the nobility of the Jiang family, he gathered all these villains. After that, it became the Anshu Hall of today. He listened to Lu Sanzong talk about the establishment of the Anshu Hall. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes slightly. 3 months ago, at that time, the people from the Palace of Darkness had already started preparing. Aren't you villains? Are you willing to listen to the arrangements of a Jiang family's aristocrat? Yiqing Luo raised her doubts. If it really was that kind of evil existence. It was said that 2 tigers could not live on the same mountain, so how could they be willing to stay together? And, to establish a hall in such an orderly manner. Lu Sanzong looked troubled and lowered his head. The reason? I really can't tell you. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. Is it related to the Jiang family's aristocrats? Lu Sanzong did not answer, but his expression said it all. Yiqing Luo scoffed lightly. With the answer, she didn't continue asking. Continue. Lu Sanzong pursed his lips and deliberated over his words in his mind before continuing. Although it was 3 months ago, the nobles of the Jiang family had been preparing for it. But when the Anshu Hall truly appeared out of nowhere, just a few days ago, the task given to them by the nobles of the Jiang family was simple. It was to disrupt the order of the God realm. They were using their evil deeds to pollute the entire God realm. Initially, they were a little worried. Even if he was a villain, he still cherished his life. However, in the current God realm, all of the great profound practitioners had become selfish. Once they went too far. In order to protect themselves, those profounders would definitely not interfere. As a result, the people from Anshu Hall were the first to test the waters. In the end, he ran amok without any regard for the law. Yiqing Luo raised her brows again. It seemed that the nobles of the Jiang family had seen through the human nature of the God realm. To disrupt the God realm. To disrupt the atmosphere of the God realm. To disrupt the order of the Feng family, the other royal families or the aristocrats, when the entire God realm was in complete chaos. That was also the time for the Palace of Darkness to appear. It was a good plan. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 50-21. First Master. The young lady opened her mouth smilingly, interrupting what Lu Sanzong was about to say. Her long and narrow eyes curled upwards, and there was an inexplicable sense of charm in her loveliness. As for me, regarding how your dark void hall was established and how it developed, I actually don't have much interest. Yiqing Luo said faintly, I suggest you to say something that I am more interested in, that would be better. She knew how long Dark Void Hall had been established, and that was enough. As for other messy things, no matter how much he said, it would be useless. Lu Sanzong's torrent of words reached his throat, but he swallowed it back. Then what do you want to hear? Say something interesting. Yiqing Luo smiled slightly. For example, the master behind you, is it the Jiang family's aristocrat, or the person behind the Jiang family's aristocrat? Or the reason why your master allowed you to be unscrupulous and domineering in the God realm? For example, the person I saved last night, who is he? Why is he imprisoned in your Dark Void Hall headquarters? What is he trying to do? And for example, Grand Aunt, please spare me. Spare me. Lu Sanzong hurriedly interrupted Yiqing Luo's words. These questions of yours, how am I supposed to answer? Yiqing Luo threw out questions one by one, making Lu Sanzong so anxious that he wanted to cry but had no tears. How you should answer, just answer. Yiqing Luo faintly raised her brows, her pink lips curled frivolously. Her eyes flowed with a casual smile. Don't try to lie to me. I can help you detoxify, and give you some other poisons. Lu Sanzong. Just one poison was almost taking his life. And some other poisons. Wasn't this asking for his life? Don't worry, by then, death to you will only be a release. Yiqing Luo raised a slender finger and shook it at him. I won't let you die so easily. Lu Sanzong recalled the earlier, that kind of poison, tormenting him until his entire body twitched, as if a hammer was hammering his internal organs. Momentarily, he couldn't say a word. This young lady was simply too savage. Ever since he became the leader of the Anshu Hole, this group of vicious villains that came from all over the god world couldn't even compare to this young girl's savagery. Lu Sanzong was in a dilemma. He didn't notice that a mischievous smile had appeared on the young girl's face. Coming to Lu Sanzong was indeed the right choice. It could be seen from his conversation with LVNI last night. Lu Sanzong was not very smart. Compared to the cunning LVNI, she could get the answer she wanted faster if she started with Lu Sanzong. Like now. Lu Sanzong's reaction had completely proved, he knew all the questions she had asked. As for Lu Sanzong, Yiqing Luo had complete confidence that he would answer her questions honestly. So Yiqing Luo had no intention to rush him. She glared at him maliciously for a long time. Following that, he put on a posture of pulling Dmo Xian away. As expected, Lu Sanzong compromised. We are from the Jiang family's aristocrats. We are all gathered together by the Jiang family's aristocrats. We are all following the arrangements of the Jiang family's aristocrats. Lu Sanzong stammered, as for the reason, I really don't know. We only received the mission, what to do. Chapter 50-22. The master behind the Jiang family, that. I have heard of that, but I have never seen him before. You guessed correctly. The reason why we are willing to stay is mostly because of the promise given to us by the master behind the Jiang family, and some other reasons. As Lu Sanzong spoke till here, he brushed past this part of the reason. Then he continued, as for the person you saved last night, seems to be called Long Yunjian. He is someone whom the two elders of the Jiang family asked us to go to the slums to capture. I heard that person seems to be on the side of the master behind the Jiang family, but he betrayed that side. And even stole the master's very important thing, so he was chased by the Jiang family. After the Dark Void Hall inquired about Long Yunjian's news, they went over to capture him and locked him up in the headquarters. The two elders of the Jiang family said, when they return to the Jiang family, they will bring him back. Then what happened last night happened. Yiqing Luo's question. Lu Sanzong's answer was very comprehensive this time. Yiqing Luo's slender fingers touched her chin, that Long Yunjian. What did he steal? This. I don't know. Lu Sanzong hurriedly shook his head. The people from the Dark Void Hall had already stripped him naked, but they didn't find the thing that the elders wanted on him, and the elders didn't say what it was. Yiqing Luo's brows sunk slightly. Stripped. Naked. If Ah Zhan was awake, how could the arrogant him bear such an insult? Her human dragon was actually trampled by the Dark Void Hole. She had been too gentle with her poison. Lu Sanzong was frightened by the gloomy aura emitting from this young and innocent-looking young lady, so much so that the cold air in his body became even more chaotic. He hurriedly sprawled on the bed. What I said is all true. I really don't know. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips tightly, as her slender fingers curled up one by one. Just as she was about to explode, a broad palm stretched over and wrapped around Yiqing Luo's little hand. Slender jade-like fingers opened Yiqing Luo's tightly clenched fingers, soothing her emotions. Yiqing Luo's eyes met with the man's sapphire, gentle eyes. Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly calmed down. She lowered her eyes and stared at their interlocked hands. The coldness in his eyes gradually dissipated. She curved her lips and looked at him with her charming eyes. Her current goal. She wanted to get the information she wanted from Lu Sanzong. If her emotions could not remain calm because of Lu Sanzong's words, they would also lose the best opportunity to question him. Yiqing Luo calmed herself down and raised her eyes indifferently as she looked at Lu Sanzong. I heard that you are still tracking a woman's whereabouts. That person is Miss Feng of the Feng clan. When Yiqing Luo spat out the words, Miss Feng, Lu Sanzong suddenly sat up straight and looked around nervously. This news, how did you know? Of course I have my ways. Yiqing Luo's dainty and picturesque brows sunk slightly with a tinge of coldness. What's your motive for pursuing Miss Feng? We didn't. Lu Sanzong subconsciously wanted to refute. However, when he saw the coldness in the depths of the young girl's eyes, his retort was stuck in his throat. Chapter 50-23. First Master, I know the real reason why your dark void hall is so domineering. Yiqing Luo didn't bother with his nonsense. On the surface, you are under the orders of the Jiang family's aristocrats to disrupt the God Realm's order, but in actual fact. The cold arc on her pink lips deepened. Dark void hall is so ostentatious, just to make it easier to track down that Miss Feng. I'm very curious, what's the reason for Dark Void Hall to track down Miss Feng's whereabouts? Your Dark Void Hall? Or should I say, the master behind the Jiang family's aristocrats? What's your motive? The young lady's deep voice became increasingly husky. There was also a strange charm to it. After Yiqing Luo finished saying these words, Lu Sanzong's face instantly turned pale. His face sunk as he slowly leaned his back against the headboard. He had no intention to speak again. Yiqing Luo gave a light laugh, as her delicate brows revealed traces of ridicule and playfulness. The current Lu Sanzong. Apparently he was terrified. As though saying it out would cost him his life. But to deal with someone like Lu Sanzong, Yiqing Luo felt no pressure. Her slender fingers flicked, a white jade porcelain bottle appeared in her hand. The porcelain bottle contrasted well with her jade-like skin. It made that porcelain bottle even more crystal clear. When the white jade porcelain bottle was taken out, a flash of white light flashed past Lu Sanzong's eyes. Lu Sanzong's body stiffened, staring straight at the white jade porcelain bottle in Yiqing Luo's hand. Yiqing Luo smiled lightly as she shook it. Lu Sanzong's vision also shook. His breathing was slightly hurried. As though he knew what was in this white jade porcelain bottle. This is my last question. After Yiqing Luo shook the bottle, she kept it in her palm, blocking Lu Sanzong's vision. And you, after you answer this question, the antidote is yours. This is really the antidote? Lu Sanzong's eyes widened, looking greedily at Yiqing Luo's hand. Of course. Yiqing Luo nodded with a smile, but don't try to snatch it from me. After all, you should be clear, my husband's ability. Lu Sanzong's greedy gaze congealed slightly. Then, slowly returned to Yiqing Luo's face. He clenched his fists tightly. All right, I do know the reason why the Jiang nobles want to pursue that Miss Feng. But, I only overheard it. Whether it's true or not, I'm not too sure. I heard that the young miss of the Feng family has something that the master wants. As for that master, he needs Miss Feng to remove his seal. Swish, bang. A few gusts of cold wind blew over. Murderous aura burst forth. Dmo Xian's sharp senses detected it, and he held on to the young lady's slender waist, pulling her into his embrace as his figure flashed. Ah! A blood-curdling scream was heard. Lu Sanzong's body fell from the ice bed to the ground. A long arrow pierced through his neck. Someone was stopping Lu Sanzong. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian exchanged glances and speedily looked towards the direction of the long arrow. He saw fourth elder Jiang standing not far away with a cold face. Seeing that Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian had discovered him, he had no intention of avoiding her. Instead, he sneered and threw the longbow in his hand to the ground. Dmo Xian held on to Yiqing Luo's waist and flew over. Fourth elder Jiang's eyes stared fixedly at Yiqing Luo. Who exactly are you? Why are you inquiring about the dark void hole's matters? As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will always be victorious. Yiqing Luo smiled carelessly. The dark void hole can chase after me, why can't I inquire about the dark void hole's matters? Chapter 50-24. But the things you've inquired about seems to have nothing to do with the dark void hole. Fourth elder Jiang's face was sinister. Yiqing Luo calmly curved her charming eyes. No choice who asked the person behind the dark void hole to be your Jiang family's aristocrats. If I destroy the dark void hole, and your Jiang family comes to bully me, what should I do? Of course I have to plan for the consequences of me destroying the dark void hole. Yiqing Luo's explanation sounded reasonable. Fourth elder Jiang clenched his fist. That greenish-gray face was extremely ugly. Young lady, do you really think our Jiang family's aristocrats are all fools? His eyes were sinister, like that person. He took a look at Dmo Xian and continued, his strength has far surpassed most of the aristocrats in the god realm, even the experts of the royal family. If there really is such a powerful person in the god realm, how is it possible that he only revealed his strength at the golden hour? Yiqing Luo's expression didn't change at all, holding her man's hand, her fingertips fiddled with his fingers and smiled sweetly. My husband is happy, does it bother you? The young lady's actions and tone. Both were obviously disapproving and ridiculing. Fourth elder Jiang was fuming. But he also had misgivings about the existence of the man named Chao Yun. He stared at Yiqing Luo, as if he wanted to stare out her soul. Happy? He spoke out the results of his investigation word by word. Chao Yun, the son of the Chao family. Mu Yu, an orphan who escaped from the village, adopted by the Chao family without parents. When they heard fourth elder Jiang say their names, they were stunned. Yiqing Luo's calm face suddenly congealed, her long and narrow eyes revealed a bit of fierceness as she looked at fourth elder. You investigated us. Fourth elder Jiang snorted coldly and continued, the son of the Chao family, fell in love with an orphan. This marriage, the Chao family's patriarch didn't seem to agree with it, and it caused a huge commotion. Now, because of the two of you, the Chao family's patriarch is seriously injured in bed. What a pity. What a pity, the two of you are out touring, enjoying yourself. Fourth elder Jiang sized up the two of them. His eyes were filled with probing and hatred. He gently twitched the corner of his mouth. His words were cold as he spoke of his ultimate goal. You. I'm afraid you're not the son and daughter-in-law of the Chao family, right? As fourth elder Jiang finished his words, the pretty girl's expression grew colder and colder. Especially when he heard the words, the master of the Chao clan was seriously injured in bed. Her fair fingers were clenched into fists. It was as if he was going to throw a punch in the next instant. That pair of long and narrow eyes surged with raging flames of anger. If I'm not, then don't tell me you are. Yiqing Luo's lips twitched slightly as her eyes were filled with a chilly intent. She stared straight at fourth elder Jiang's face and smiled maliciously. Fourth elder Jiang, rather than meddling in our family's affairs, why don't you take care of your own health? you are forcefully suppressing the poison. How much longer can you last? I forgot to tell you, this kind of poison. The more profound energy is used, the faster it spreads. I see that the corners of your eyes have already turned gray. I'm afraid that you won't be able to live for long. The young lady's voice was soft. But the words that she spat out were extremely chilly and maliciously. Her pink lips curled up slightly, forming a mischievous cold arc. Fourth Elder Jiang laughed out loud. He raised his hand and flipped his palm. A white jade porcelain bottle appeared in his palm. Chapter 50-25. That was the antidote which Yi Qing Luo had given to Lu Sanzong earlier. When did Fourth Elder Jiang take it away? Yi Qing Luo's gaze swept past Lu Sanzong's corpse. Indeed, the white jade porcelain bottle had disappeared from the bedside. Young lady, you're still too tender. After he finished his words, he opened the white jade porcelain bottle abruptly and drank the liquid inside in one gulp. Until he had finished the contents of the bottle. He then smashed the porcelain bottle heavily onto the ground. His eyes were scarlet with malice. Young lady, I am not that kind of idiot like Lu Sanzong, trying to use the antidote to lure me into the trap. Ha ha ha. Yi Qing Luo had no intention to stop him from the start. It was until Fourth Elder Jiang smashed the porcelain bottle that she casually raised her slender brows as her charming eyes curved. Oh. Why do I feel that? Fourth Elder Jiang is even dumber than First Master? She chuckled softly. Her brows were filled with bright dimples. Fourth Elder Jiang's smile froze as his face sunk bit by bit. Yi Qing Luo continued to smile. Fourth Elder Jiang, the one who is really tender is you. What do you mean? Fourth Elder Jiang's face turned steely green and extremely ugly. The young lady raised her hand. Her fair fingers gently covered her pink lips as she gave a mocking laugh. Fourth Elder Jiang really thought that is the antidote. Not the antidote. Fourth Elder Jiang's gloomy and malicious eyes stared at Yi Qing Luo and then swept a glance at Lu Sanzong's corpse. He clenched his fists. No, impossible. You're saying this on purpose, right? His goal is to disrupt this elder's judgment. If you think this way, it will make you feel better, then go ahead. Yi Qing Luo spread out her hands with an indifferent look. Your body is your own, your body's reaction can't lie to anyone. Fourth Elder Jiang's face was steely green as he looked down at his own body in disbelief. He clenched his fists tightly. But there was no energy in his body at all. Even the poison which was suppressed earlier. It broke through the suppression at this moment. Convulsions and heart-wrenching pain instantly invaded Fourth Elder Jiang's body and mind. It also made Fourth Elder Jiang bend his high and mighty knees and kneel on the ground. Fourth Elder Jiang's body convulsed violently. His ghastly face was now completely black. Yi Qing Luo brought Dmo Xian along as she walked out of Lu Sanzong's room, walking straight towards Fourth Elder Jiang. Fourth Elder Jiang fell to the ground, struggling and twisting. Yi Qing Luo gave out a low laugh as she looked down at Fourth Elder Jiang from a high vantage point. Her eyes were filled with a chilly intent with some sarcasm. Now, Fourth Elder Jiang should believe my words, right? You. Fourth Elder Jiang couldn't believe that he had fallen into the hands of a little girl. If word of this got out, it would be a joke. Fourth Elder Jiang was furious and annoyed. This breath. That convulsion in his body, as if his internal organs were being stirred up into a ball, was even more heart-wrenching. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips curled as she scoffed. Our family matters. It's not up to an outsider like you to point your fingers. Whether my father-in-law is willing to acknowledge me as his daughter-in-law, it's my business, it has nothing to do with you. Whether we're going on a sightseeing tour, disregarding my father-in-law's injuries, I don't need to explain it to you. If I hear another sentence of you insulting the Chow family's aristocrats, insulting my father-in-law or my husband, I don't mind making you unable to make a sound forever. Chapter 50-26. The young lady's arrogance had almost stepped on Fourth Elder Jiang's head. When had Fourth Elder Jiang ever been humiliated like this? He bared his teeth and glared at Yiqing Luo. It was as if they were hugging each other. Kill her. Yiqing Luo suddenly gave a light laugh, using a gaze which seemed as though she was sizing up rubbish, as she sized up Fourth Elder Jiang from head to toe, as she chuckled, "Oh, wrong. I've forgotten, Fourth Elder Jiang's poison has acted up, I'm afraid it's true, so he can't open his mouth anymore." Saying that, she held Dmo Xian's arm and smiled, "Ah Yun, let's go." When they passed by Fourth Elder Jiang, he stretched out his hand and tried to grab Yiqing Luo's leg. But it was kicked away by Dmo Xian. His cold bone-piercing gaze was like a sharp knife stabbing down. Fourth Elder Jiang's breathing stagnated, he was in so much pain that his whole body was twitching. Save me, however, no one cared about him. Passing by Fourth Elder Jiang, they walked straight to the courtyard entrance. The two of them stopped in their tracks. Yiqing Luo raised her head, as her slender fingers, lightly tapped in the air. A transparent barrier wave was faintly discernible in the air. It was an enchantment. No wonder, she felt strange. Why was it that when Fourth Elder Jiang shot Lu Sanzong, Yan Xiaoyi and the rest who were guarding outside the door, as well as that Yan Jun from the Dark Void Hall, had no reaction at all? They were all blocked outside the enchantment. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at Dmo Xian. There was no need for words. The man had already read the young lady's mind. He put down the hand that was breaking the enchantment and took 2 steps back. Yiqing Luo shot a radiant smile at Dmo Xian. Between her curved eyes, her face was filled with youth. Then, she faced the enchantment. She pinched her fair fingers and moved her palm. A large machete with a piercingly cold glint appeared in her hand. She swayed the knife. Her fingertip stroked the blade lightly. The dazzling red glow suddenly covered the entire blade. Immediately, Yiqing Luo leaped. She raised her hand and slashed downwards. The dazzling red profound light collided with the transparent barrier in the air and let out a hissing sound. 2 waves intersected. Majestic Xian Qi surged wildly in all directions. Yiqing Luo's peach blossom robe was fluttering under the strong profound qi. Yiqing Luo felt a resistance at the end of the machete, preventing her from breaking the enchantment. She slightly increased her strength and pushed the blade even further towards the point where the barrier and the profound light intersected. The profound qi fluctuations created by both sides surged more and more intensely. The stalemate continued for several breaths. Yiqing Luo's lips suddenly curled upwards as she gently lifted the corners of her eyes. Her pink lips curled upwards as her peerlessly alluring eyes revealed a wisp of fierceness. She shouted in a tender voice. The machete in his hand chopped down. Boom! An earth-shattering shockwave caused the ground to tremble. A deafening explosion followed. Meanwhile, Yiqing Luo's waist tightened as the man locked her slender waist and leapt away from the spreading profound wave. Sunset Rain. Master Chow. Young Master Chow. Sunset Rain. Several calls were clearly transmitted into Yiqing Luo's ears. The enchantment had been successfully broken. Yiqing Luo's eyes were filled with joy as she popped her little head out from Dmo Xian's arms and looked forward. She was grinning from ear to ear in Dmo Xian's arms. I broke this enchantment. She originally just wanted to try. She had not expected that she really succeeded. Great. Dmo Xian's eyes were gentle as he was not stingy with his praise. The surrounding courtyard had been razed to the ground as smoke curled up. Chapter 50-27. Yan Xiaoyi and the others were already as anxious as ants on a hot pan. At this moment, they finally sensed the profound aura in front. Instantly they dashed towards Yiqing Luo in wild joy. Mu Yu, are you alright? How are you guys? Are you hurt? The few young men and ladies' eyes were filled with worry. I'm fine. Yiqing Luo squirmed out from Dmo Xian's arms as she sized them up. On seeing that they weren't hurt, she silently heaved a sigh of relief. It's good that you're alright. Yan Xiaoyi and the others also heaved a sigh of relief. This was their employer. If the World Group's first mission in God Realm had failed just like that, not only would they smash the World Mercenary Group's signboard, they would also feel apologetic. After all, this young couple in front of them had always been thinking for the World Group. Even that piece of jade pendant which could nourish living things, they had lent it to them without any suspicions. No matter what, they must protect this young couple's safety. What happened earlier made them a little dazed. But it also made them a little more vigilant. Earlier they were guarding Lu Sanzong's entrance well. Following that, they were lured out of the courtyard by an extremely powerful profound wave. Originally they thought that they were just checking out the courtyard and not too far away, so nothing would happen. The minute they reached the courtyard, they couldn't even enter Lu Sanzong's courtyard. They then realized. Earlier that powerful profound wave was obviously to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Luckily, they were fine. Yan Xiaoyi noticed fourth elder Jiang who was lying on the ground struggling for his life, as well as Lu Sanzong who had stopped breathing through the opened window. Her expression was a little complicated. What happened? It's just a show of killing each other. Yiqing Luo smiled indifferently. Anyway, they're all poisoned, so there's no need to bother about them. She squinted at fourth elder Jiang as she purposely twitched her lips nastily. They're going to die no matter what. Dark Void Hall this time should be really doomed. Let's go. Saying that, she pulled Dmo Xian as they walked out of the ruins. Jiang Zi jogged over to Yiqing Luo's feet as he raised his little head and looked at her. Sister Yu, why didn't you kill him? He's not a good person either. Yiqing Luo bent over and rubbed his head, only giving a smile and not replying. She did not answer. Jiang Zi, who grew up in the slums, knew how to read people's expressions, so he didn't continue to ask. However, his complexion did not look too good. Baiming Lulu held his hand and walked at the back. She raised her beautiful eyes and stared at the back of the girl who was dressed in a peach blossom dress. Her voice was gentle and comforting. Miss Mu Yu naturally has her own reasons. She squeezed Jiang Zi's little hand and said, "You are still young. Although you need to know how to control your own fate, you definitely don't need to be filled with killing intent." Jiang Zi nodded his little head, not fully understanding the situation. A group of people walked into the headquarters of the Anshu Hole. No one dared to stop him. As soon as he walked out of the dark void hole's door, suddenly, there was a whoosh sound. A cold light flashed past everyone's eyes. A long spear was placed horizontally on the path of the entrance, blocking Yiqing Luo and the rest's path. You've created a foul atmosphere in the Anshu Hall and you want to leave. A gloomy voice was heard from within the Anshu Hall. Following that was an overbearing and ruthless voice. Second elder, it's this group of people playing such a despicable trick like poisoning in the Anshu Hall and even saved that fellow Long Yun Zhan. Chapter 50-28. That violent voice, wasn't it third elder Jiang's voice? This third elder Jiang, did he look for a helper? Found a second elder. Third Elder Jiang and Fourth Elder Jiang's intelligence quotient Yi Qing Luo had thought that the ranking of the elders didn't seem to be arranged according to any rules. But, listening to Third Elder Jiang and this Second Elder's posture of complaining, it seemed that this Second Elder was much more awesome than him and Fourth Elder Jiang. Moreover, that deep and hoarse voice earlier. It should be the Second Elder without a doubt. It seemed that this Second Elder's strength was quite strong. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes slightly and looked towards the direction of the voice. A black shadow came at a fast speed. Yi Qing Luo and the others dodged sideways. That black figure stood straight at the place where the long spear was inserted into the ground. Yi Qing Luo turned her head to look. She saw a white-haired and white-browed old man dressed in a black suit. This old man was different from the Third and Fourth Elder Jiang whom Yi Qing Luo had seen. Third and Fourth Elder Jiang liked to wear a fluttering white robe. It seemed that this color, coupled with the robe, could more symbolize their status as elders. And this old man, dressed in a black suit, had an imposing appearance, exuding an oppressive aura from head to toe. He stood beside the long spear, then stretched out his hand, grabbed that long spear and pulled it out forcefully. The stirred-up profound waves stirred up the gravel and dust on the ground, constantly dancing wildly. This was the Jiang family's aristocratic Second Elder Jiang. Yi Qing Luo slightly raised her slender brows, her pink lips curled up indifferently. Second Elder, this is trying to stop us from leaving the Dark Void Hall headquarters? Second Elder Jiang's expression was cold as he stared at Yi Qing Luo. Miss, being so arrogant in the Dark Void Hall headquarters, do you think there's no one in the Dark Void Hall? Yi Qing Luo snorted lightly, her brows arched upwards, without any fear. Why? Your Dark Void Hall is allowed to run amok, but I'm not allowed to retaliate. Your Dark Void Hall inexplicably issued a kill order, causing me to not even be able to enter the city. Your Anshu Hall investigated me and my husband's identity, and even cursed my father-in-law, trying to sow discord between me and the Chao clan. As the daughter-in-law of the Chao clan, how could I tolerate this? As for that fellow called Long Yunjian, Yi Qing Luo paused for a moment and raised her slender brows as she smiled. Your Dark Void Hall only know how to make things difficult for me. Anything that can make you feel difficult, I must do it. What about it? The girl's voice was very soft. However, that tone of voice and the words that came out of his mouth, it could choke someone to death. Moreover, the young girl was still smiling. Her beautiful eyes were like a blooming flower that was blooming with beauty. This elder is not going to argue with you. Today, you must stay in the Anshu Hall. Second Elder Jiang pointed the spear in his hand, his eyes darkening. Yes, 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 Second Elder, kill them, kill them. Third Elder Jiang jumped out from the side and shouted, she killed the great leader of the Anshu Hall. If news of this gets out, how will the Anshu Hall remain in this world? And the Fourth Elder was also killed by that woman. This is totally a provocation to our Jiang family's elder group. Third Elder Jiang, don't slander me. Yi Qing Luo raised a slender finger and shook it lightly. The great leader was killed by your Fourth Elder Jiang, and, isn't your Fourth Elder still alive and well? I purposely spared his life. Yi Qing Luo's face was calm and composed. Don't try to throw the blame on me, I won't take the blame. Seventh young miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh young miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 50-29. She had her reasons for sparing Fourth Elder Jiang's life. Fourth Elder Jiang killed Lu Sanzong. But it was to prevent Lu Sanzong from divulging more information to her. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes slightly. Lu Sanzong said. She had something on her that the Dark Nether Palace wanted. And she had a vital role to the people behind the Dark Nether Palace. But what was Lu Sanzong's unfinished words? Fourth Elder Jiang was more sensitive and his IQ was more on point. The last time DMO Xian made a move, it had already made Fourth Elder Jiang suspect her and DMO Xian's identity. Now that he had caught her, he wanted to find out more about the Dark Void Hall through Lu Sanzong. And the Jiang family's aristocrats, or rather, the people behind the Jiang family's aristocrats. It would only make him more suspicious of her identity and her motive. Just now, in front of the Fourth Elder Jiang, he had acted like a drama queen. It was to make Fourth Elder Jiang more convinced that she was the daughter-in-law of the Chao family's son, and also the Chao family's daughter-in-law. Anyway, Fourth Elder Jiang was basically crippled. No matter how strong his willpower was, he was afraid that it wouldn't be more than 48 hours. This amount of time was enough for him to pass on the news she wanted him to pass on to the Jiang family's aristocrats. But he didn't expect that there would suddenly be a second Elder Jiang. This second Elder Jiang looked like his status and ability was above Jiang San and Jiang Si. Now that he appeared at the Dark Void Hall headquarters, he must have specially rushed over to support them. Young lady, you know that the Dark Void Hall belongs to our Jiang family's aristocrats, but as the daughter-in-law of the Chao family, you actually created such a mess at the Dark Void Hall headquarters. Second Elder Jiang's long spear turned and the profound waves rippled. Young lady, are you representing the Chao family to declare war on our Jiang family's aristocrats? This was escalating to a battle between the aristocrats. This second Elder Jiang was really powerful. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly, her smile remained unchanged as she casually glanced at him and chuckled, why do I feel that? The Jiang family's aristocrats are too ambitious and want to swallow the other aristocrats, so they are starting from a junior, intentionally trying to provoke a war between the two aristocrats. The young lady's casual attitude, but the words she said made one's heart tremble. Second Elder Jiang's face darkened. That solemn and cold face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost as he stared sharply at Yiqing Luo. Why are you glaring at me? Glaring at me can conceal the dirty thoughts in your heart. Yiqing Luo's charming brows were picturesque, her voice was serene and languid, without much emotional fluctuations. Second Elder Jiang was furious. Silly girl, don't be speechless. His face sunk as his long spear danced and he charged towards Yiqing Luo's direction. The long spear flashed through the air, leaving behind a cold glint. The silver light swayed and was extremely eye-catching. Yiqing Luo noticed. When Second Elder Jiang was attacking her, he was obviously paying attention to DMO Xian's movements. It was obvious that he knew that DMO Xian was the one who really needed his vigilance. He looked at the incoming spear. Yiqing Luo had no intention to avoid it. The slender and powerful arm around his waist exerted a little more strength. Her delicate body felt light. The man had already picked her up by the waist. Immediately after, a cold wind brushed past his cheeks. Sister Yu, be careful. At the same time, a tender and crisp voice cried out with worry. It was accompanied by Bei Ming Lu's flustered voice, Ze, don't go over. Your sister Yu is fine. Chapter 50-30. Under the man's protection, Yiqing Luo steadied herself. She lifted her eyes and looked in Jiang Zi's direction. She saw that the little figure was panting in her direction. Her big eyes were filled with worry, and the rims of her eyes were red. At this time, Baiming Lulu was pulling him. On seeing Yiqing Luo safe and sound, that little human then heaved a sigh of relief and stopped struggling, as he looked at Yiqing Luo with his misty eyes. Clearly, he was worried sick. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but curled her pink lips as she winked at Jiang Zi, indicating him not to worry. She interacted with Jiang Zi. What he didn't see was that Second Elder Jiang, who was waving his spear with an imposing aura, had suddenly stopped. He frowned slightly and murmured, "Z. What a familiar name." His vision swept past Yiqing Luo, looking directly towards the direction where that crisp little voice came from. Jiang Zi, who was dressed in clean clothes and had bright eyes and white teeth, looked very much like a young master of a noble family. His frown deepened. "Why are you here?" This low shout. Everyone turned to look at second elder Jiang. Yiqing Luo's slender brows rose slightly as her narrow eyes narrowed dangerously. Following his line of sight, she looked towards Jiang Zi. What did second elder Jiang mean by asking this question? Could it be he knew Jiang Zi? However, Jiang Zi was obviously frightened by this roar. He stared blankly at second elder Jiang, his eyes filled with unfamiliarity. It was obvious that Jiang Zi did not know second elder Jiang. Therefore, who was second elder Jiang talking to just now? Perhaps he had sensed that the atmosphere around him had become a little strange. Second elder Jiang's expression congealed slightly as he speedily retracted his gaze. Following that, he slammed his long spear onto the ground as he stared coldly at Yiqing Luo. "Today, on account of the Chao family's aristocratic family, this elder shall let you off. The Anshu Hall's order to kill you will also be cancelled. If you cause trouble for the Anshu Hall again, don't blame this elder for being merciless." With that, he gripped his spear and turned to leave. Yiqing Luo blinked her eyes. Ha! Why did second elder Jiang suddenly change his personality? Weren't they going to fight? She hadn't even made her move yet. The battle was over. Yiqing Luo's slender fingers stroked her chin, her face unfathomable. "Looks like second elder Jiang has surrendered to my innate majesty of a king." Everyone in the world group, the profound practitioners of Dark Void Hole. Although second elder Jiang's sudden action was indeed very strange. But it didn't seem to have anything to do with her domineering aura, right? Third elder Jiang was also dumbfounded. Second elder Jiang's figure had already disappeared from his sight. Only then did he react, and he chased after second elder Jiang. "Second elder, what are you doing?" "Releasing the tiger back to the mountain." "Have you forgotten what she did to the Anshu Hole? How can we just let them go like this?" Second elder Jiang was indeed a man of his word. Yiqing Luo and the rest left the Dark Void Hall headquarters and left the city. There was also no news from the Anshu Hole. And the so-called bounty order was indeed cancelled. However, considering the current situation of the Anshu Hole, whether the killing order was cancelled or not, they didn't have the energy to continue chasing after them. It was until they reached a place which was 100 miles away from the Anshu Hall's headquarters. Yan Xiaoyi clicked her tongue. "I somehow feel that Jiang family's aristocratic elder is playing some underhanded tricks behind our backs." Chapter 50-31. He obviously knows that only you have the antidote. Baiming Lu nodded. "Letting us go like this is to give up on those poison people in the Dark Void Hole." Qiao Yinyan's handsome face revealed a rare worry. "Madam Qiao, what do you think?" Second elder Jiang is planning. Their mission was originally to protect the safety of the Morning Cloud's Mu Yu couple because of the Dark Void Hall's kill order. Now that the Dark Void Hall had cancelled the kill order. But that didn't mean that the couple was safe. Second elder Jiang's operation made everyone scratch their heads in confusion. Yiqing Luo's fingertips twirled the hair on her shoulder as she smiled coquettishly, without a hint of worry. Hearing Qiao Yinyan's question, she nonchalantly raised her eyes. Her long and charming eyes slightly curved as she smiled and said, "Didn't I say that you submitted to my domineering aura? So, you submitted." These words, "Miss Mu Yu, do you believe it yourself?" Baiming Lu couldn't bear to ridicule. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly, but had no intention of replying. She glanced at Jiang Ziyi from the corner of her eyes. Her charming eyes rippled with a faint light. Second Elder Jiang should have suddenly changed his mind after seeing Jiang Ziyi. Although Jiang Ziyi didn't know Second Elder Jiang, but he seemed to be Second Elder Jiang. He was shocked by Jiang Ziyi's existence. If she didn't guess wrongly. Yiqing Luo's eyes squinted, adding a tinge of treacherous danger. Her vision swept past a certain direction not far behind her. Her pink lips curled slightly, the arc was mischievous and full of evil intentions. After that, she casually retracted her vision. Her hand encircled the man's arm, leaning her head on his arm as she laughed softly. Things have become interesting. The few of them walked for several hours. The sky darkened. Yiqing Luo directly found an abandoned temple to rest. After piling up the fire, Yiqing Luo let the few of them go look for some wild game. Not long after Yan Shaoyi and the rest left, Yiqing Luo looked at the moonlight outside and asked Jiang Ziyi to stay here while she pulled Dmo Xian out of the abandoned courtyard to watch the moon, enjoying the two of them alone. Before Yiqing Luo left, she specially exhorted, "If there's any danger, just shout my name, I'll be right outside." Jiang Zi nodded his little head. About half an hour later, Yan Shaoyi and the rest returned with a few edible wild animals in their hands. When he saw Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian under the moonlight, his face was filled with black lines. Why does it feel like the reason why Lady Muyu sent them out to hunt for wild animals was to spend some time alone with her husband? Seeing Yan Shaoyi and the rest return, Yiqing Luo also pulled Dmo Xian up. They returned to the abandoned temple together. Yan Shaoyi waved the game in her hand towards the little person sitting under the firelight. "Little guy, we have meat to eat tonight, I'll let you see your sister Lulu's cooking." There was no response from the other side. Yan Shaoyi didn't mind. She placed the game on the ground. Baiming Lulu was packing the game as she asked Jiang Ziyi, "Ziyi, do you have any preference towards taste?" There was still no response from the other side. The little person's silence was a little strange. The few of them frowned as they sensed something strange. They walked to the front of Jiang Ziyi. They then discovered the current Jiang Ziyi was hugging his knees with his head buried in his knees as his little body trembled with all his might. He sensed that someone was getting closer. His body trembled even more violently. Chapter 50-32. Baiming Lu's face was filled with concern as she stretched out her hand and gently caressed his head. "Ziyi, what's the matter? Are you frightened by being here alone?" Her hand had just touched Jiang Ziyi. The little boy seemed as though he was startled as he suddenly raised his head and shrunk backwards. He raised his head. Everyone saw Jiang Ziyi's bright eyes and white teeth face, which was filled with tear stains. After a few days of interaction, everyone had a good impression of this obedient and sensible child. Instantly, their hearts started to ache. They all comforted Jiang Ziyi. But Jiang Ziyi didn't say a single word as his little fists were tightly clenched. The stalemate lasted for a joss stick's time. A clear voice suppressed everyone's concerned voices as it rang in the air above the abandoned temple. "Do you have something to tell me?" Under the flickering fire, the peach robe and jet black-haired young lady's figure was swaying so much that it looked illusory. But that leisurely voice was still soft and there wasn't much emotion in it. That little fellow who had been persuaded by everyone for half a day without any response. Slowly, he raised his head as his red eyes looked towards Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo slowly walked towards him and squatted down in front of him with a gentle smile. "Say what you want." She had just squatted down. That little boy suddenly dashed towards Yiqing Luo. Both his hands hugged Yiqing Luo. Sister, I only believe you. I only believe you. Jiang Ziyi's voice was hoarse from crying as he repeated this sentence with a sobbing tone. Yiqing Luo, who was suddenly hugged by the little fellow, also felt uneasy as she pushed his hands away. Adding on to the fact that there was a death stare behind her, it made Yiqing Luo's heart beat fast. But she moved. Jiang Ziyi cried even more fiercely as he desperately tightened his arms. She could only give up as she used her gaze to appease a certain man whose face was as black as charcoal. Her man. Even if he was just a 10-year-old child. After all, he was still a little boy. The vinegar jar could be overturned in minutes. She gently caressed Jiang Ziyi's back. Whatever you want to say, just tell me. Jiang Ziyi cried for a while before he calmed down. Her bright eyes and pearly teeth were streaked with tears. He sniffed and raised his head to look at Yiqing Luo. Sister, you will believe me, right? Yiqing Luo chuckled, took out a handkerchief and stuffed it into his hand. From the moment you chose to follow me, you are one of us. Jiang Zi lowered his head and glanced cautiously at Yan Xiaoyi and the rest. Yan Xiaoyi and the rest were looking at him worriedly. Seeing his action. How could he not understand what he meant? Baiming Lulu was the first to stand up. Carrying the game, she said, I'm going to sort out these things first. Come and help me. Just as they were about to walk out of the ruined temple, Jiang Zi then whispered, It's not that I don't trust you. I'm just afraid that you will think that I'm a bad boy. Without waiting for their reply, he lowered his head and continued in a low voice, Just now when you weren't here, that second elder Jiang came. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone's expression immediately tensed up. What? He's here. Did he do anything to you? The few of them were feeling anxious. However, that young lady with black hair and peach-colored clothes was extremely calm. As though she had already guessed it long ago. Jiang Ziyi also sensed Yiqing Luo's silence as he raised his little head and looked at the young lady's serene eyes as he asked in a daze, Sister, you don't tell me you already knew that he would come and look for me. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 50-33. Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled upwards as she met Jiang Zi's gaze gently, and instead of answering, she asked, Why is he looking for you? These words were considered as tacit agreement. She indeed knew that second elder Jiang would look for Jiang Zi alone. The brothers in the world group also understood what was going on. No wonder Yiqing Luo chose this abandoned temple to rest. She even specially sent them away. It was all for the sake of giving second elder Jiang a chance. Although Jiang Zi was young, but he who grew up in the slums had a quick mind. He immediately understood the cause and effect of Yiqing Luo's actions. He pursed his lips as his little fists clenched tightly as his eyes revealed some worries. Don't tell me. Elder sister isn't afraid that I will really leave with second elder Jiang. You won't. Yiqing Luo's eyes curved as she looked at him smilingly. Her voice was very gentle. I believe you, moreover. I've made the right bet, isn't it? Jiang Zi's red eyes stared at Yiqing Luo without blinking. Yiqing Luo caressed his head in an attempt to pacify him. Don't have any psychological pressure. You believe me and I naturally believe you too. Sister, you. The young man's voice was slightly choked. He wanted to pounce into Yiqing Luo's arms again. But this thought had just surfaced. A cold gaze that was as sharp as a blade shot straight at him. The current Jiang Zi was no longer as helpless as earlier, as he had calmed down by quite a bit. When this gaze pierced over, he was completely frozen on the spot, not daring to move at all. Yiqing Luo naturally knew the reason why Jiang Zi became like this. She stared at the man behind her who was emitting a cold intent. He's already badly frightened. Stop scaring him. The man in the bamboo-colored long robe leaned against the wall as he pursed his dark red thin lips slightly as he spat out a word in its Sundra manner. Humph, she looked so obedient and sweet. But that pair of obsidian-like black pupils was flowing with a sinister dark glint. It made him look like a fusion between an angel and a devil. Handsome, elegant, unparalleled. Yiqing Luo. This man, he did it on purpose. Handsome man trap. Yiqing Luo's eyes stared at him as she communicated silently with her eyes. You're such a torturous little demoness, I'll deal with you later. Dmo Xian raised his thin lips. Yiqing Luo withdrew her line of sight, determined not to let his handsome man trick make her forget the proper business. Don't be afraid, he did it on purpose to distract your attention. Yiqing Luo reluctantly found an unconvincing excuse to explain for Dmo Xian. Jiang Ziyi took a careful look at Dmo Xian, as he didn't dare to lean into Yiqing Luo's arms. He hugged his tiny legs. Under the light of the fire, his porcelain white face was filled with shame and disbelief. I think I have a special relationship with Second Elder Jiang and the others. Special relationship? Yan Xiaoyi and the rest repeated these words curiously. What special relationship? I think I'm a member of the Jiang clan. When the little guy said this, his head was almost buried in his knees. Her two small hands clenched the trousers on her knees. He seemed to be afraid and worried. They would despise him for that. The surroundings were silent. Jiang Ziyi buried his head for a long time and couldn't hear any sound around him. His heart was beating like a small drum as he felt uneasy. After waiting for a while, he still didn't hear anyone's response. He carefully lifted his head. In front of him, under the light of the fire, his brothers and sisters were smiling at him. Seventh Miss who likes trash. Lord Overlord, please be gentle with your love. Seventh Miss who likes trash. Lord Overlord, please be gentle with your love. Chapter 50-34. Their handsome faces were filled with gentle smiles that did not carry any malice. Like a hot spring. It warmed his body and mind. Jiang Ziyi gave a blank smile as he stared blankly at the few people in front of him. Finally willing to raise your head. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly, slightly curved her charming eyes. The arc was rippling, which made her delicate brows look even more gentle and elegant. Baiming Lulu hugged him in her arms and rubbed his little head, saying, "Why are you so afraid? So what if you are from the Jiang family? This doesn't mean that you will hurt us." "Cuckoo, I am from the Jiang family." Jiang Ziyi's voice was still choking. Because of the Jiang family, Brother Zhan became like that. And it is also because of the Jiang family that there is the dark void hole. But this has nothing to do with you. Yiqing Luo was gentle and patient. Jiang Ziyi's eyes were red as tears gushed out. After knowing this news, he was completely dumbfounded. There was no ecstasy like what Second Elder Jiang had said. There was only endless fear and terror. He was afraid that his identity would be despised by these brothers and sisters. Fear that his identity would make them hate him. Even himself. They all hated the Jiang family. Not to mention those brothers and sisters who were harmed by the Jiang family. But now, looking at these brothers and sisters in front of him, emitting kindness and gentleness, that restless little heart finally calmed down. "Sister you." Jiang Ziyi sniffed and thought of the serious matter. That Second Elder Jiang arranged a task for me. Yiqing Luo wasn't surprised at all. What task? Early on when Second Elder Jiang saw Jiang Ziyi's performance, Yiqing Luo had already guessed something. Later on, second elder Jiang let them go. But he secretly asked someone to follow them. Yiqing Luo had basically guessed the entire sequence of events clearly. Jiang Ziyi pursed his lips and took out a palm-sized jade box from his sleeve. He asked me, after you fall asleep, to open this thing and place it beside you. What is this? Yan Xiaoyi stretched out her hand and took the jade box, sizing it up. Then she was about to open the jade box. Don't open, a hurried voice interrupted Yan Xiaoyi's actions. Immediately after, a fair little hand grasped Yan Xiaoyi's wrist and snatched the jade box away. You can't open this jade box. Yiqing Luo lowered her eyes as she stared at the jade box in her palm with a grave expression. Everyone's gaze shifted to the jade box. Yiqing Luo weighed the jade box in her hand as a biting cold glint appeared between her brows. What is inside? Do you know about it? Baiming Lu showed great curiosity. She asked Jiang Zi to place the things beside Mu Yu while she was sleeping. Could it be? What kind of poison is it? Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled up bit by bit, the gloomy cold glint in her eyes became deeper and deeper. If I didn't guess wrongly. The thing inside is witchcraft. When the word witchcraft came out of his mouth, the expressions of the world group's 4 people froze. Their gazes were fixated on the jade box without blinking. His fingers clenched into a fist. Witchcraft. That kind of witchcraft which caused them to separate from group leader. Yiqing Luo's gaze looked towards Jiang Ziyi. You haven't opened it before, right? No. Jiang Ziyi shook his little head. Chapter 50-35. That's good. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes narrowed slightly. As her fingertips caressed the jade box, her pink lips curled up slightly. This thing, temporarily handed over to me for safekeeping. If there's a chance, I'll let second elder Jiang have a taste of this witchcraft goo. Yan Xiaoyi thought about how she had almost opened the jade box and cursed second elder Jiang with gritted teeth. Second elder Jiang looks so fierce, but I didn't expect him to be so cowardly. Why are you playing such insidious tricks in the dark? Why don't you face them head-on? Qiao Jin comforted her in a low voice. Yiqing Luo squatted down and looked at Jiang Ziyi at the same level. I know, second elder Jiang might have made a lot of promises to you, and you. If you choose second elder Jiang, perhaps in the future, you will be able to live a life above all others. But you still chose to believe in me. Yiqing Luo smiled slightly, so, you don't have to think too much. No matter who you are, or what your identity is, or what you will become in future, as long as you want to stay by our side, we will bring you along. Jiang Zi's tears, which he had managed to stop with great difficulty, gushed out again. He wiped the tears off his face and sniffled. I'm not interested in what he said. I don't want it either. I just want to be with Sister Yu and everyone else. I don't want to go to some Jiang family, noble family. I don't want those promises he made. As he spoke, he lowered his head. I don't want to become a bad person. Yiqing Luo wanted to say that following them might not necessarily turn her into a good person. After all, they were not necessarily good people. But, compare that to the nobles of the Jiang family. In any case, they were considered to have a bottom line. At the very least, they wouldn't kill innocents to achieve their goals. Tomorrow, he will definitely look for you again. Yiqing Luo said, remember, don't stray too far from us. Jiang Zi nodded obediently. His eyes were red and his nose was sniffing. He looked quite pitiful. Yiqing Luo took a look at Beiming Lulu. Go deal with the wild animals. He's been crying for so long, he's probably hungry. It was a peaceful night. Nothing much happened. After Yiqing Luo opened her eyes, she acutely sensed the rustling of the bushes outside the abandoned temple. If one didn't listen carefully, they would only think that it was the sound of grass rustling in the wind. She raised her eyebrows. She looked up and met the man's inky eyes. She got out of the man's arms and smiled. You heard it too. He should be here to check if that little fellow had followed the agreement and placed the witchcraft worm into your body. When Dmo Xian said this sentence, his voice was filled with malice. Yiqing Luo laughed softly, as her long and narrow eyes rose. No matter, this kind of child's play, it's not worth for us to put it on ourselves. Let's find a chance to give them a taste of their own medicine. Dmo Xian pinched her waist. Be careful, this is the God realm, don't play with your face till it's wasted. The disguise was to deceive others. How long had it been? The world had already been turned upside down. Yiqing Luo buried her head into his chest. Yes, 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 I will take note, you too, so sweet early in the morning. At the side, Yan Xiaoyi and Qiao Jin had already woken up. Yan Xiaoyi looked at the two of them who were stuck together with disdain. The two people in our The World group who love to flaunt their affection the most, are not as sticky as the two of you. Yiqing Luo. If she didn't guess wrongly, the one who Yan Xiaoyi mentioned loved to flaunt their affection the most, was probably referring to her. Chapter 50-36. I forgot, you probably don't know what public display of affection means. Yan Xiaoyi patted her head. After all, this was a term that Yiqing Luo had taught them. There the World group understood. The others might not. She explained, what I mean is, in front of others, it means to be affectionate. Yiqing Luo held on to Dmo Xian's arm as she leaned her head on his shoulder as she smiled. No choice, who asked my husband and I to be so affectionate towards each other that we can't even stop it. Yan Xiaoyi and the rest covered their eyes. There's still a child around, watch your image. The group of people seemed to have forgotten about what happened last night as they were in a joyous mood. In this calm atmosphere, the wind and the waves. The group of people were ready to set off as they continued their journey. In the dark, the wind blew and grass moved. A few black figures were split into two teams. One team followed closely behind the group of people in front. As for the other team, they turned around and returned to their destination. Until they returned to the nearest city. The black-clothed men quietly entered the largest inn. Very quickly, they arrived at their destination. The secret signal to knock on the room door. After some time, a cold and dignified voice was heard from inside. The black-robed men immediately pushed the door open and swiftly closed it. Their actions were clean and efficient without any sloppiness. In the room, the windows were shut tightly. It was very dark. The black-robed men walked into the inner room and stood in front of the window. When the figure whose back was facing him stood, he immediately knelt down and greeted respectfully, Second Elder. How is it? The man in the dark slowly turned around. He revealed a face that exuded an extremely oppressive and dignified aura. Second Elder Zhang's brows were cold and a pair of piercingly cold eyes looked towards the black-robed man, making the black-robed man's heart stop for a moment. The black-robed man's voice trembled as he spoke. Seems like the plan has failed. That lad didn't follow what this elder said. Second Elder Zhang's gaze turned even colder as his tone became heavier. The black-robed man hurriedly lowered his head. I've been watching outside for the entire night, but due to that young Master Chow, I didn't dare to get too close until this morning when they set off. I saw that their atmosphere was extremely good, and young Master Zhang's relationship didn't seem to have changed much. No change. Second Elder Jiang narrowed his eyes. That kid Jiang Zi was very timid. After he talked to Jiang Zi, That kid was so scared that he seemed to be in a daze. Especially when he heard that his parents were not from the slums. But when he was a member of the Jiang family's noble family. They were all sobbing. Even if that brat didn't do as he said, with the strength of that man called Chao Yun and the acuity of that girl called Mu Yu, they would definitely be able to kill him. He should have noticed that something was wrong with that kid. If he were to interrogate him a little, he would eventually find out. Why didn't they change their attitude towards Jiang Zi? Or, that kid was still in a dilemma. Why didn't he take action? What did second elder Jiang think? He had never thought about it. It was Jiang Ziyi who took the initiative to tell Yiqing Luo about this matter, and Yiqing Luo totally believed Jiang Ziyi's words. For someone as skeptical as second elder Jiang, it was only natural. In his opinion. Even if Jiang Ziyi really took the initiative to tell Yiqing Luo about the matter. After knowing Jiang Ziyi's true identity, how was it possible that he would still believe Jiang Ziyi? Second elder Jiang pondered for a moment and his eyes sunk as he commanded, "Continue to follow. Don't let that bunch of people find out. When the time is right, pass a message to Jiang Ziyi, 7th Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. 7th Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love." Chapter 50-37. Just ask him, do you want to see your own, biological parents? The last 4 words. Second elder Jiang said it word by word. His slightly narrowed eyes reflected a piercingly cold glint that was filled with schemes. If he wants to see his biological parents, then obediently listen to this elder's arrangements. After completing this elder's task, this elder will bring him back to the Jiang clan and grant him the identity of the Jiang clan's young master. Yes. The black-robed man replied with a fish salute. Without the dark void hall messing around. Yiqing Luo and her entourage's speed was obviously much faster. They naturally noticed the little tails following them in the dark. Yan Xiaoyi wanted to solve it. Yiqing Luo stopped her without a trace, her lips curled into a faint cold arc. Don't be anxious, let's see what this second elder Jiang is up to. Even if they killed these little tails now, not only would it attract the attention of second elder Jiang, second elder Jiang would definitely send other tails to follow them. Rather than searching everywhere for those tails and worrying about where they were hiding, it was better to find them. Why not keep these tails that they had long noticed? At least, they thought they were in the dark. In fact, they were the ones who were in control of the chess game in the dark. And, the most important thing was, now it seemed. The Jiang family side seemed to have believed her and Dmo Xian's identity as morning clouds and evening rain. Yiqing Luo was trailing those little tails. Those little tails expressed their bitterness. They followed them all the way. And they had to be careful to avoid them. After all, there was a super big shot in that team. Then, those tails who had received second elder Jiang's order could not find a chance to get close to Jiang Ziyi. After leaving the abandoned temple, this group of people, no matter where they went, would always bring Jiang Ziyi along. Even if it was to hunt or something else. There would always be people around Jiang Ziyi. Just like that. The people in front left. The people behind followed. In a flash, 5 days had passed. The further they went, the more desolate the surrounding environment became. It was so desolate that not even a blade of grass grew, leaving only one after another barren mountain range. The little tails were getting more and more strenuous. There were a few times when he almost lost them. Along the way, the men in black used the signal flare specially made by the nobles of the Jiang family to communicate with second elder Jiang. In these 5 days, second elder Jiang had originally sent out a signal once a day. But on the fourth day, especially today, they were flare after flare. It was as if he was urging them to hurry up and finish what they were doing. The little tails finally decided, do something big. Anyway, if they were to drag on and follow Yiqing Luo's entourage, Second Elder Jiang would be waiting anxiously and they would still have to die. Why not take action now and snatch him away? At least he could complete Second Elder Jiang's mission. Thinking like this, the dozen or so men in black exchanged glances. Finally, it was decided, charge. Aya, you're finally willing to come out. The girl, who was sitting on the ground and chewing on the meat, slowly raised her head and smiled at the black-clothed men who had rushed out and surrounded them. Do you want to sit down and eat? The black-clothed men. The others didn't show any signs of panic as they continued to sit on the ground and eat their own food. Someone even clicked his tongue and said, they're really patient to actually wait till now to come out. Chapter 50-38. Sigh, I've lost the bet again. I thought you could hang on for another 2 days. Ha ha ha. You've lost. Don't forget what you promised me. Everyone had this kind of style. Even the little fellow Jiang Ziyi only raised his little head from the wild game. After taking a look at them, he lowered his head and continued to chew on the meat. The black-robed men were once again stunned. Maybe their entrance wasn't cool enough. Not enough to cause a commotion. So, they weren't afraid of them. The black-robed man poked the leader softly, that. Boss, they seem to have known that we're following them. Indeed. From the moment they appeared. These young men and ladies didn't show any signs of shock. It was totally within their expectations. The leader's face sunk under the black mask. His eyes turned cold as he bellowed, forget it, let's go first. 10 over black-robed men swiftly raised the weapons in their hands as they pounced towards them. Their target was obvious. A bunch of them charged towards Yiqing Luo and the rest. And the leader took the opportunity to pounce towards Jiang Ziyi. Aya, if you don't want to sit down and eat, you have to wait for us to finish eating first. The girl with black hair and peach-colored clothes suddenly leaped up. Like a peach blossom, gorgeous beyond compare. The moment she flew up, the bone in her hand spun on her fingertips. It flew directly towards the leader. It also stopped the leader from charging towards Jiang Ziyi's path. The bone was as swift as lightning as it flew past. The leader didn't have time to evade. The bone brushed past the mask on his face. A caw sound was heard. The mask split open. It revealed a gloomy and stern face. Yiqing Luo raised her brows as she recognized that person. Wasn't he the one who suddenly rushed up to capture her in the city, asking her to go to Dark Void Hall to detoxify the poison? Yan Jun. You guys made a move on a child, what kind of hero are you? Yiqing Luo landed beside Jiang Ziyi as she cast a sidelong glance at Yan Jun. Why? Second Elder Jiang intends to go back on his words and let your Dark Void Hall people come over to stir up trouble. Yan Jun's mask fell off and he had no intention to continue concealing it. He stared coldly at Yiqing Luo, but in actual fact, he had been paying attention to how to get close to Jiang Ziyi. You already knew that we were following you? Yan Jun asked. Yiqing Luo tilted her head. I just thought that Second Elder Jiang specially sent you to escort us secretly. I didn't expect that. Your plan was actually this. Her tone was full of sarcasm. Then, she pretended to be puzzled and tilted her head. Her long and narrow eyes curved. What do you want to do to him? He's just a child, yet you guys are chasing him to this extent. Her curved eyes suddenly narrowed at this moment. So, why did you capture Z? What's the reason? Yan Jun frowned slightly when he heard that. From the looks of it, second elder Jiang was looking for Jiang Zi. Yiqing Luo didn't know the truth. He looked at Jiang Zi suspiciously. It was as if she couldn't believe that such a small child actually had the ability to hide from this cunning young lady. Jiang Zi was a little scared by the stern and scrutinizing gaze. His little body moved closer to Yiqing Luo's side. This made Yiqing Luo's eyes even more piercingly cold. Looks like I guessed correctly. Your target is indeed Z. Yan Jun's face darkened as dark clouds gathered. Chapter 50-39. He was looking at Yiqing Luo's action of protecting him behind her. After some time, he clenched his fists and made a decision. All of you, try your best to hold these people back. When his words fell, he was like an arrow released from the bow as he charged towards Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo flipped her hand and was about to grab hold of Jiang Zi to evade. However, a sharp and cold Xian wave attacked his cheek. Shocked, the young lady took a step back. And this step back, it gave the other black-robed men who were charging towards Jiang Zi a chance. The young lady reacted and wanted to grab hold of Jiang Zi. But her hand brushed past Jiang Zi's shoulder. Jiang Zi was carried on the back of another black-robed man. After they succeeded, the black-robed men didn't continue the battle. After forcing these young men and ladies to retreat, they left in unison. The barren mountain, which was raging like a storm, once again regained its tranquility. Oh no! Zi. Baiming Lu saw those men bringing Jiang Zi away and immediately chased after them. Qiao Yinyan stopped her and said calmly, "No need to chase, he will be back in a while." Baiming Lu didn't understand what he meant. Yan Xiaoyi took a look at Yiqing Luo's direction. If it wasn't Mu Yu's intention, who would be able to bring Zi away? Moreover, Master Chao didn't make a move from the start. If it wasn't Mu Yu's intention, even if Mu Yu made a mistake, with Chao Yun around, it was impossible to bring Jiang Zi away. On the other side, Yan Jun and the other black-robed men who were carrying Jiang Zi also had a strange feeling. Why did it feel like it was going a little too smoothly? Somehow, they felt that something was amiss. But for a moment, they couldn't figure out what was wrong. Until they left a distance away. Yan Jun confirmed that no one was following behind. This made everyone stop. Jiang Zi had been very obedient. He didn't shout or make a fuss. After they placed him on the ground, that bright eyes and white teeth, totally different from the dirty lad they saw earlier, looked at them calmly. What are you trying to do now? The little boy, with clear eyes, totally didn't show any signs of panic that a child should have at this moment. It was as if he already knew that they would kidnap him. Yan Jun's face darkened as he grabbed Jiang Zi's collar. Brat, do you know who you're talking to? Jiang Zi's expression was calm. Meeting his fierce gaze, Jiang Zi did not avoid it. Instead, he asked, do you know who you're talking to? Yan Jun was speechless. He had seen Jiang Zi before. The kid who crawled out of the slums. He was very submissive. How could she have the guts to refute him? Yan Jun's expression was ferocious as he reached out to grab his neck. However, Jiang Zi's crisp little voice said word by word, no matter what, I'm the young master of the Jiang family. You're just a dog of the Jiang family. Are you sure you want to go against your superior? His words caused Yan Jun's movements to freeze. Jiang Zi continued, even though I haven't officially become the young master of the Jiang family, the blood of the Jiang family flows in my veins. No matter what, my status is above that of a lackey like you. He smiled. Do you think that if you kill me, Second Elder Jiang will let you off. One question after another caused Yan Jun's body to freeze on the spot. His widened eyes were almost fierce and vicious. It was as if he wanted to skin Jiang Zi alive. However, he held back in the end. Chapter 50-40. Jiang Zi was right about one thing. No matter who Jiang Zi used to be. No matter if Jiang Zi grew up in the slums or not. The blood of the Jiangs flowed in his body. Even now, no one admitted that he was a member of the Jiangs. But compared to him, a team leader of the Anshu Hall that depended on the Jiangs, he had to be noble. Moreover, Second Elder Jiang was obviously supporting Jiang Zi now. As long as Jiang Zi could complete the task given by Second Elder Jiang, he would definitely be able to return to the Jiangs. By then, his status would rise. Thinking about this, Yan Jun hid the ruthless expression on his face. Then, young Master Jiang, did you complete the task given by Second Elder Jiang? No. Jiang Zi answered simply. There was not a hint of guilt on his face for not completing the task. Instead, it was as if it was natural for him to not complete the task. To hell with it. Yan Jun was patient. Second Elder Jiang's patience is not good. How long do you want him to wait? Jiang Zi retorted, then try to harm Sister Yu under Brother Chaoyin's nose. If you can do it within a month, I'll recognize you as my big brother. Yan Jun. As if he could do it. He thought of that sweet and obedient yet mysterious man. Yan Jun was terrified. So, what right do you have to urge me to complete the task? Jiang Zi said matter-of-factly, now that I've finally gained the trust of Sister Yu and the others, I'm afraid my task will be delayed again because of you guys. Yan Jun. He felt that this kid was playing with him. However, when she looked at Jiang Zi's small and clear eyes, she couldn't help but sigh. He pursed his lips and was too lazy to talk nonsense with Jiang Zi. Second Elder Jiang asked me to bring you a message. Jiang Zi raised his head. Speak. He had to admit. He had the blood of the Jiangs flowing in his body. Even if he grew up in the slums and lived a miserable life. However, the innate sense of nobility on his body did not require any training before it could be released. Yan Jun suppressed this strange feeling and repeated Second Elder Jiang's words. Second Elder Jiang asked you if you wanted to meet your biological parents. When the last 4 words left his mouth, Jiang Zi's deliberately stiff face was on the verge of collapsing. His eyes widened. What did you say? After completing the mission, Second Elder Jiang will bring you back to the Jiang family's noble family. Moreover, he will let you meet your parents, Yan Jun answered in detail. Jiang Zi held his breath and clenched his fists. Beads of perspiration appeared on her fair face. He tensed his body and froze in place for a long time before he managed to spit out 4 words, I understand. Every word seemed to be squeezed out from the gaps between his teeth. Recently, Second Elder Jiang has been very anxious. You better act quickly. If you offend Second Elder Jiang, I'm afraid you won't even be able to keep your life, much less meet your biological parents. After Yan Jun delivered the message, he left Jiang Zi behind and the group left quickly. Jiang Zi was left standing there in a daze. About half an hour later, Yiqing Luo and the rest then found their way over. He saw that little person standing on the spot in a daze. A cold and solemn aura. Looking at that stiff body, he must have been standing there for a long time. Chapter 50-41. Yiqing Luo sighed softly. She knew that Second Elder Jiang had some news to pass on. She also knew that Second Elder Jiang needed Jiang Ziyi's help. So she set her mind at ease to plan this. And at the same time, let second elder Jiang trust Jiang Ziyi more. Jiang Ziyi's earlier words were mostly taught by Yiqing Luo. But he was after all still a child. As for second elder Jiang, he was obviously a scheming and astute person. He would definitely attack Jiang Ziyi's heart directly. Looking at that little person's pitiful look in a daze, Yiqing Luo went forward and placed her fair hand on Jiang Ziyi's shoulder. Ziyi, are you all right? The young lady's soft and concerned voice made Jiang Ziyi so shocked that he trembled. He turned his head and met with Yiqing Luo's charming eyes. That little person's face was slightly stiff. When he saw Yiqing Luo, he was so shocked that he took a step back. After he realized that his reaction was too big, he was embarrassed and unnatural as he shifted his gaze away, not daring to look at Yiqing Luo. Looked like second elder Jiang's material was a little too fierce. Yiqing Luo didn't rush Jiang Ziyi as she directly smiled. All right, let's continue on our way. Hearing Yiqing Luo's words, the others were stunned. But they didn't say a word as they followed behind Yiqing Luo. Jiang Ziyi stared blankly at the back of the few people in front. His eyes blinked slightly as he felt a little sour. His nose was stuffed uncomfortably. He sniffed hard and chased after Yiqing Luo. It was until he reached the young lady's side before he raised his head to look at her. The young lady's dainty brows were like a painting as she gave him a gentle smile. That smile, there was no barrier at all. Jiang Ziyi felt extremely guilty as he lowered his head and his voice sounded a little hoarse. Sister, you, don't tell me. You have nothing to ask me. Yiqing Luo shook her head, but after thinking about it, she nodded. The curvature of her lips was very gentle. She said, tell me when you want to say it. It's fine if you don't want to say it. Then, if you're not afraid, I'll really. Jiang Ziyi bit his lower lip. His eyes were red and sparkling. Yiqing Luo's smile became even gentler and that pair of long and narrow eyes seemed to be filled with stars, which made the young lady look even more gentle. He didn't finish his sentence. Actually, everyone understood what the latter half of the sentence meant. Yiqing Luo replied calmly, will you? I won't. Almost reflexively, Jiang Ziyi bit his lips and refuted seriously. After he finished speaking, he was completely dumbfounded. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly as she rubbed his little head. Isn't that enough? The hand on her head was small, soft, and filled with endless gentleness. It seemed to be able to easily soothe all the unstable factors in his heart. His heart, at this moment, inexplicably calmed down. All the confusion in his heart had vanished. That was right. No matter what, he would never betray Sister Rain. Even if the Jiang family's aristocrats offered great conditions, he would never hurt Sister Rain. So, what was he so conflicted about? He didn't need to think so much. Because it was impossible for him to do it. After thinking it through, the young man's eyes were firm as he looked up at Yiqing Luo. Sister Rain, the Jiang family's aristocrats this time used. He paused slightly. My biological parents, as a threat. Biological parents. Yiqing Luo raised her brows slightly. Is second elder Jiang planning to give you a chance to acknowledge your ancestors? Chapter 50-42. Jiang Ziyi clenched his fists tightly as his eyes turned redder. I won't acknowledge them. They had never fulfilled their responsibilities as parents, why should I acknowledge them? Since young, I grew up in the slums, I am a child of the slums. The young man's voice was filled with grievance as he choked with sobs. Yiqing Luo looked at him. After a long time, she sighed softly. She raised her hand and placed it on the young man's head as she gently touched it. I know. What you are thinking about in your heart. The young man's eyes were red as he looked at her with glistening teardrops. Yiqing Luo smiled, because, in this aspect, we are very similar. She squatted down and looked at Jiang Ziyi at the same level. As for me, I don't know who my biological parents are. I have always wanted to find them. The young lady's words were soft and her voice was so gentle that it didn't seem like she was talking about her own matters. To tell the truth, as for finding them, to acknowledge my ancestors or whatever, I don't have much of an intention. What I want most is to ask my parents face to face. Back then, why did you leave me behind? Yiqing Luo took out her handkerchief as she gently wiped the tears from the corners of Jiang Ziyi's eyes. I know, you must want to ask your parents this question. The more she wiped, Jiang Ziyi's tears gushed out even more. As though he couldn't stop. Yan Jun, who had just completed his mission, led a group of black-robed men as he watched Yiqing Luo and the rest bring Jiang Ziyi away. One by one, they walked out from the shadows. Then they planned to continue following the footsteps of that group. Looking at Yiqing Luo and Jiang Ziyi's interaction, Yan Jun's heart had a strange feeling. Somehow, he felt as though he had neglected some crucial information. Just as he was about to catch on to something, suddenly, a hurricane struck. Immediately following that, a palm which was condensed from profound energy landed on his face. Pack, a crisp, extremely loud sound was heard. His entire body was flipped over, and he fell to the ground. His internal organs shook as though they were gushing out blood. Second Elder Jiang. The surrounding black-robed men respectfully knelt on the ground as they greeted him. Yan Jun was in so much pain that his body was curled up. He opened his eyes in a daze and saw an old man dressed in black standing there aggressively where he had been standing just now. The pair of eyes that seemed to be covered in frost glared at Yan Jun. Yan Jun could clearly sense the aura emanating from Second Elder Jiang's body. It was a ruthless aura of the coming storm. Second Elder Jiang. Why is he angry? Idiot! Second Elder Jiang shouted angrily, didn't you see the signals I sent you several times? Yan Jun's eyes widened, his body struggling slightly. He had seen it. Every single signal had given a response. Second Elder Jiang's eyes were filled with malice. I have to go there myself. Tell me, what is the use of you people? Yan Jun was in so much pain that he could not speak. When he opened his mouth, a large mouthful of blood gushed out. Second Elder Jiang's anger caused all the men in black to tremble. Second Elder Jiang's words revolved around. He had sent out 5 signals, all of which were orders for them to intercept morning clouds and evening rain, and the rest, to stop them from moving forward. But the response of the signal he received was one by one, the distance was pulled apart. When these words were spoken, all the men in black were stunned. One of the men in black explained, Second Elder Jiang, the signal I received was not like that. Chapter 50-43. The signal we received was that Second Elder Jiang wanted us to urge Jiang Ziyi to hurry up. As soon as he said that, Second Elder Jiang and the other men in black seemed to have realized something. Second Elder Jiang's face darkened. You mean, the signal that I sent to you was intercepted? It wasn't just an interception. It had even been changed. A figure involuntarily appeared in everyone's mind. She was dressed in a peach blossom robe and had black hair. She was cute and lovely, but her way of doing things was arrogant and unreasonable. Sunset Rain. If Twilight Rain had been interfering with their signals from the very beginning, it would have been impossible. In other words, Sunset Rain had long discovered that the Dark Void Hall's little tails were following them. Most importantly, how did Twilight Rain and her people know the meaning of the signal from the Jiang nobles and the Dark Void Hall? No matter how he tried to explain it, it wouldn't make sense. Second Elder Zhang's gloomy eyes darkened even more. He clenched his fist and said with a murderous aura, "What a good sunset rain. I didn't expect that this elder, who has toyed with people's hearts for so many years, would fall into the hands of a little girl today." At this point, how could he not understand? All of this was completely, that girl had single-handedly controlled the chess game. Ever since he found Jiang Zi, he was already trapped in the girl's chess game. The young girl was treating them like monkeys. A bunch of trash. Second Elder Zhang's gaze was cold and murderous as he stared ahead. Stop them first. We must not let them go any further. Why? The man in black didn't quite understand. Second Elder Zhang's expression was dark and gloomy. The coldness in his eyes could almost freeze people to death. Because the place they are going to is Infernal Domain. That place. They absolutely could not be allowed to set foot here. Yiqing Luo and the rest were just moving forward. Suddenly, Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes squinted as she looked towards a certain direction behind her. Meanwhile, Dmo Xian also raised his eyes and looked over at the same time. Their actions attracted the attention of others. What happened? Yan Xiaoyi followed their line of sight. Apart from the endless barren mountains, there was nothing else unusual. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian retracted their vision at the same time, as they looked at each other tacitly and smiled. Between the girl's long and narrow eyes, a wisp of light slowly blossomed. She curled her lips and said, "Looks like our main show is about to begin." The mockery in his tone was obvious. Yan Xiaoyi's beautiful eyes narrowed as she understood. The Anshu Hall has caught up. That's probably because he's already noticed that we've been up to something over the past few days. Yiqing Luo's eyes curved as she patted Jiang Ziyi's head lightly. Ziyi should have been discovered. He has no intention to pledge his allegiance to him. They had long since known that Anshu Hall's little tail was following them. Naturally, he also saw the signals that they were sending to each other. Hence, Yiqing Luo looked for Dmo Xian for help. The signal from Second Elder Zhang's side was directly changed to another signal. As for how she knew, the signal of the Anshu Hall. This was all thanks to, while she was stirring up trouble in the Anshu Hall's headquarters. He had seen it before. It doesn't matter. Before the other party makes a move, let's get along peacefully. Let's go. Yiqing Luo retracted her gaze from afar as her eyes retracted the glint. Yan Xiaoyi and the rest gathered around to discuss about the Anshu Hall's matters. Chapter 50-44. Yiqing Luo had already held on to Dmo Xian's arm as her lips curled into a smile. Looks like the other party is really angry, this time. They sent a little more people. Her voice wasn't loud. The others were engrossed in discussing Dark Void Hall and didn't hear their conversation. The Jiang family's aristocrats want to stop you from moving forward. The man lowered his eyes as he met the young lady's sparkling eyes. This lass, what she said seemed like she was afraid. But her tone and expression were obviously excited. What else could he do? Who asked this to be his family's treasure? Whatever she wanted to do, he would pamper her. Yiqing Luo was attracted by the man's words and didn't notice that when the man looked at her, his eyes were filled with endless pampering. She pursed her pink lips slightly as her narrow eyes rose as she pondered, "Stop me?" Her black as glass eyes suddenly turned and a cold glint shot out from her half-squinted eyes. "You mean Jiang family's aristocrats don't want me to go to the Devil's Domain?" Their destination this time was the Devil's Domain. Along the way, the incident at Dark Void Hall had happened. Over at Dark Void Palace, they also believed her in Dmo Xian's disguise. Why would they let the Jiang family's aristocrats stop her from going to the Devil's Domain? Judging from the signals Second Elder Jiang has been sending out recently and the frequency of his signals, he should be trying his best to stop you from moving forward. DMO Xian replied warmly, this batch of people should be from the Jiang family's aristocrats, obviously. To stop you by force. That meant Second Elder Jiang had made up his mind not to let her go to the Devil's Domain. Yiqing Luo's mind depicted the route of the map once again. Their current position. They were very close to the Devil's Domain. As long as they passed through this barren mountain, they would reach the entrance of the Devil's Domain. Based on their speed, they would arrive in at most 2 days. So, Second Elder Jiang was anxious. And they came personally to stop her. Yiqing Luo's half-squinted eyes flashed a deep thought. The Jiang family's aristocrats were working together with Dark Void Palace. The Jiang family's actions were most likely because of Dark Void Palace's orders. Then, why did Dark Void Palace stop her, who had no relations with Dark Void Palace and Feng family, from heading to the Devil's Domain? Lass, could it be? Your identity has been exposed. Old Man Tsang reminded. Impossible. Yiqing Luo's tone was firm. If the Palace of Darkness really found out about my current identity, then not only the Jiang family's aristocrats will come looking for me, the Palace of Darkness will definitely come personally. Moreover, Yiqing Luo paused for a moment as her tone turned solemn. If the Palace of Seclusion knew my current identity, then they would be able to guess that my disguise was my real motive. Therefore, it is even more impossible for the Gloomy Palace to stop me from reaching my destination. Because they need me to lead them to the place they are looking for. The nobles of the Jiang family would stop her from going to the demon area. There was only one explanation for this. There were secrets of the Tenebrous Palace in the Demon Domain. The Palace of Gloomy Darkness was afraid that she would discover their secret. Thus, they tried every possible way to stop him. It can't be such a coincidence, right? Yiqing Luo's heart thumped. There's no need to think so much. The man's broad palm covered the girl's head, his voice low and gentle. As long as you want to, you can definitely go to the demon area. No one can stop you. The large hand on her head seemed to be infused with endless power. The girl's eyebrows were dyed with brilliant flowers. She nodded heavily. I know. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.